And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful week this week. We're heading into the weekend, and we're heading into the battle for the interstate, which I am ecstatic about, and we're going to be talking about that and so much more with Mr. Bob Beretta, the athletics director at LeMoyne College in AD and DT, our signature segment that typically comes to you Wednesday mornings, but we're giving you bonus. We had a dolphin dive this Wednesday. We'll have an AD and DT this morning inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. And then from there, we'll get into the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver, presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, focusing this week on how do you smell the roses. So we'll talk about exactly what I mean by that. The top dog of the week, presented by Kamp Dog Daycare and Kampground Dog Boarding. And we'll speak with Jason Poles, a DB alum of Syracuse football and somebody who is working for the university. And we'll talk about the hiring of Fran Brown. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're now picture-in-picture with Mr. Beretta. Bob, how are you?
I'm excellent, Dan. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. And Bob, there's so many things to talk about, so much to get into. You and I usually have plenty of conversations, but you've been running around. I've been running around. I'm happy that we get to do picture-in-picture here. I miss my Bob time. I do. So how has the road treated you? I got to know.
It's been great. It's been great, Dan. Getting out to support our student athletes and seeing them compete. And we ask them to compete ferociously. Relentless competition is what we talk about. And they have been competing relentlessly. Obviously, the results aren't exactly what we would like at this point. We know that, but we're in this for the long we're playing the long game. We're in this for the long haul. We know that this year we're going to be challenged based on some of our opponents. I was just looking at a statistic yesterday, and the combined record of our women's basketball opponents is 50-8 right now. Yeah. 5-0-8. So it's been a really tough stretch for us, but it'll make us better as we get into NEC competition following the new year. And I think some of the experiences that we've been able to deliver our student athletes, I think, have been life-changing, really transformative experiences, whether it be a trip out to the West Coast, to Colorado, our men's basketball team out there for almost 10 days, national televised dates against Georgetown and Villanova, and a whole bunch of TV dates coming up in the new year that we can't release the specifics, but yet, perhaps next week. But there's some really good news on the horizon for those that want to follow the Dolphins on linear television as opposed to just solely on online services. So good news there. It's been spectacular. Again, you would like to have some more victories, but I'm really so proud of our student athletes and how they've competed. Heck, our men's and women's swimming teams went down to the ECAC championships last weekend down in Long Island and faced MAC competition, NEC competition, Patriot League competition. And I just spoke with them earlier this morning. I think we had 140 swimming and diving entries. And of the 140, either 135 of them either set season bests or personal bests. And that's all we can ask. We ask for our student athletes to compete relentlessly and in training and in the competitions, and they're doing that.
And I mean, you talk about it, swimming and diving as well. I mean, right out the gates, I look at, different things that have happened with true freshman Enzer and everything that he did. And to go from that, speak with Adam Zakowski and with him about doing that on the swimming and diving side, to LeMoyne on the women's soccer side, getting the first D1 win, to the men's soccer team advancing to the postseason in their first season as a D1 program. And you mentioned basketball, and men's and women's basketball both have their first Division I win as a Division I program. So we're already seeing so many things come through. and I love it. I mean, I love seeing the level of competition. I love seeing the fight. The women's tennis team got the first NEC win ever. So across the board in all these different areas, whether we're on a court or in a pool or on a field, we're watching LeMoyne compete. It's not one team doing something and none of the other teams. All across the board, we are seeing history be made, and be it personal best or team best or first Division One win or first NEC win or going to the NEC postseason, all of these things are definitely fitting the narrative and the belief that you've carried and Dr. Linda Lemira has carried and I've carried, is that LeMoyne was prepared to make a move and was going to compete and be a part right away of this. It wasn't just a let's go there and see what we got. I mean, there's coaches and student athletes that have definitely put in the work to be ready, and kudos to them, because so many of these teams, when the decision was made, the recruiting was done. So they had what they had, and these student athletes and these coaches have made no excuses, and it's been tremendous to see the early success, because what that tells me is LeMoyne didn't start at the bottom. LeMoyne started already on the road, and that road's only going to get better.
It will, and I remind people all the time that these were the rosters that we were going to compete in the NE10 with this coming season. Due to the timing of our announcement in May, we had very little opportunity to impact our rosters with that recruiting benefit of being D1, which opens up a whole different audience of student athletes that are in their mind that they're committed to performing at a Division I institution. Yeah. And if you're Division II, it doesn't matter at what level of Division II you might be. If in their mindset it's firm that they want to compete at Division I level, that we would not even be able to have a conversation with those student athletes. So, that audience has been opened up to us through this transition, and I think you'll see the impacts of those conversations in our future years, but right now, and I'm so proud of our student athletes that are on our rosters right now. I'm not to diminish their accomplishments or achievements, yeah, or really their resumes in any way right now. But it's just a larger population, if you will, of student athletes that'll be available to us to talk to. So I'm exceedingly proud of what we've accomplished. I think there are better days ahead. Again, this is a journey. We're in it for the long haul, and we're committed to this process. I was speaking to our president earlier in the week, and she was conducting a media interview, and she said, no regrets whatsoever. And I echo those sentiments. No regrets whatsoever. This was the right move for this college at the right moment in time.
Yeah, and Bob, we live in a microwave society, right? Where you make a move and they want to know immediately, like, you got to win championships, you got to raise all this money, you got to do all these things. And things take time. What is it about this process that, as much as it is growing pains, do you feel like has shown, not just on the fields and the courts and the pools of life, but what is it about LeMoyne College in its entirety? Because some try to make this move and things happen. There's schools that make this move and then they drop a ton of sports. So what is it about LeMoyne as an institution that you really feel like all of these months in, yeah, we were ready for this. We were prepared. I'm seeing different things that are making sense for us now, because we can talk the talk, but LeMoyne is about walking it too. So what have you seen so far beyond just the sports world?
Yeah, I think really two things jump out, Dan, to me. One is the leadership of the institution. Our president, Dr. Lemira, her bold leadership, her steady hand, her ability to rally folks around her, yeah, and her support, obviously, of this transition. Not only Dr. Lemira, but the rest of our leadership team, all of our VPs, Joe Grasso, our assistant, our VP for finance, our CFO, and Tim Lee, our VP for enrollment. I mean, this takes full, complete alignment for it to be successful. So I say that is first and foremost. Yeah. It's the leadership of the institution, that we were nested with the mission of this college, and everyone was aligned perfectly. So that was the most important part. And then really, it comes down to the culture of this college for many, many years, for decades, right? And we're the youngest Jesuit institution now, just I believe 76 years old now, or maybe in our 77th year. I think it's 76th, but we're the youngest Jesuit institution, but our culture it's inculcated in our student athletes, in our constituents, and all the stakeholders, this grit, this incredible grit and resiliency. And we take pride. We're kind of that blue collar engine that, we're just going to keep chugging and chugging along, and we're going to find a way. And it's through hard work, it's through commitment, it's through winning, but winning the right way. And right now, winning might not just be translated by the results of the scoreboard. In fact, that might be the least important data point that we consider this year when we do the final season in review and look and see if this was successful. Where I am right now doing temperature checks with our teams, I find that we've been exceedingly successful this year. I just met with a swimming team this morning, as I mentioned earlier this morning, and talked to them about what was a tremendous accomplishment in the ECAC midseason championships. And I asked them, three things at the beginning of the year. One, to compete relentlessly, just ferocious competition. They've done that, obviously, in their training, in their daily training regimen, based on those results, because you can tell in track and field and swimming pretty easily on those numbers. So the trajectory there is right. Second, we asked them to represent this institution with class and dignity, compete with integrity. And I believe you can compete with integrity and also compete ferociously. They're not mutually exclusive. And we've been able to do that across all the spectrums of our sports. And then the third, I really asked them this morning. I said, okay, so I can check the block on the first two. You tell me if you're able to check the block on the third box, which is, I asked them to enjoy the moment. They're all trailblazers. This is a huge challenge for them. Some of them made this challenge willingly, accepted the challenge willingly. Others maybe not so willingly. It was thrust upon them. But I asked them as a group, and I didn't see any heads moving east and west. They were all north and south. And the comments that I heard were that they are enjoying this. So I think those are the types of things that we'll find at the end of the year and ask our student athletes. And I do believe that despite some severe challenges in the competitive arenas right now, I think at the end of the year, come May, that our student athletes will look upon this with great satisfaction.
Well, I mean, the thing is, and we talk about it, I mean, it's growing pains, right? I mean, I just mentioned that. I mean, you're gonna feel that. You're gonna feel when I still remember, I can go back to being a kid and I woke up in the middle of the night and my legs were hurting. And it's because I was growing. And so, we have to know that you can't grow without pain. And what I love is when I turn on the television and I see that LeMoyne logo pop up. I love when I go and I check standings that I see that LeMoyne logo on the standings that I've seen for so many years. I can appreciate, because I know the coaches and I know the student athletes and yourself and Linda and the board, when I get to be around these student athletes and these coaches, and I'm watching what they're doing and how they're coming forward, as hard as things may be, I'm seeing all of these successes. And, we can check those boxes of the incredible experiences of being able to go to California, being able to go to Colorado. We can check the experience of being able to go to the Carolinas and to Florida. And at the same time, it's seeing, I think we don't always take the time to notice the little victories, right? A coach coming in like Susan Kim that had to come in the 11th hour. And when she's getting to know her team while the season had been going on. And to see those victories, to see those, getting to know the student athletes, getting to know the families, getting to spend some time, that extra time on the bus. I like hearing the stories of what song do they play on the bus. I like hearing the stories of, what's the game that they play as a team? What do they do to get to know each other? What's been the best part of learning about your roommate and their tendencies? And I've talked to them. Who's the dirtiest roommate? Who's the roommate that plays the music the loudest? And so there's still that life that's going on, that college experience. And no matter what division you're in, you still have to coach the sport. You still have to know the sport. And when you're a student athlete, you still have to love the game. You still have to practice. You still have to watch film. So there's so many things to me that don't change. And when you look for the human side, when you look to build relationships and not be transactional, I still get to tell the same stories because they're still the same incredible people. And that's what I love behind this whole move by LeMoyne, is that there's really wonderful people on campus. And I think anybody who's on campus sees that.
Yeah, no, it has been. It's been gratifying. It's been really gratifying to see the student athletes and some of our other stakeholders kind of react positively to the things that we promised, that we expected during the discernment process, and then to see them come to fruition. That's what's been really gratifying. Whether it's, hey, these are the types of opponents that we're going to be able to play, and these are the types of trips you may be able to make, and here are the guarantee games, and we're going to be on national television from time to time, more times than you might have even dreamed during the course of the first year. All those kinds of things. These are the venues you're going to be able to play at, and to see that we've been able to deliver on all those fronts. I think it's been gratifying to see the reaction and the response from not only our student athletes but our alums.
To get into a couple topics, big things that are going on here in AD and DT with athletics director at LeMoyne College, Bob Beretta, and myself, Dan Tortora, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. The NEC made a move this week to bring in Chicago State. It's called the Northeast Conference, and so this team is out in the Midwest. However, there were things that Noreen Morris, the commissioner of the NEC, said aligned. And so Chicago State comes in. It gets the conference to 8 full-time members as of right now. And there's going to be a special coming up next week on Wake Up Call with Noreen to break all of this down. But from your seat, Bob, at LeMoyne, and as one of the new members of this conference, to see Chicago State come in and to see also the plan, and they're coming in 2024-25, to see the plan of the VMIs and the Robert Morrises and the Cleveland States and the Detroit Mercies filling out that men's lacrosse so that that could get taken care of as well. Just what you could say about the moves that the NEC has been making, be it a full-time membership or with men's lacrosse or anything else that you've seen.
Dan, I can't speak highly enough of our commissioner and her leadership, Noreen Morris. I've said all along that this is a relationship industry. It is. And she's very gifted in the relationship space. She has been at this for a long time. Her path and I we crossed way back when Army was in Conference USA and Commissioner was on the staff of Conference USA. And so she's been at this for a long time and made so many different relationships. And they become very important when you need to try to be agile, as we all have heard that word since COVID. But in this realignment, it's very fitting. You need to be adept at shifting and adjusting, being nimble, being agile. I know we all got tired of hearing those phrases, but boy, you look at what the NEC has had to do to reinvent itself over the years. And I was a fan from afar, and now I know exactly why they were able to do so successfully, because of the relationship that I now have with the commissioner, and I can see how hard she works at it, and her vision, her strategic vision, how she approaches things. She was able to complete that men's lacrosse picture with great depth. I mean, it was fantastic how she was able to maneuver that. And we had one solution, and 2 weeks later needed to go back to the drawing board, drew upon her relationships and settled that. So that's very important for us. Obviously, having a home for our men's lacrosse team where they can go and compete for championships in 2025 was vital, was critical to our move into this conference. And she was able to provide an interesting solution. Now with Chicago State, also firms up our membership. I think Chicago State will compete in 15 sports in the NEC. And for us, we find it really appealing to be able to go out to Chicago from time to time. It's for us, it's an easy trip. In some cases, it's much easier than some of our NEC trips or some of our non-conference trips, because there's direct flights from Chicago to Syracuse and about a 20-minute bus ride to the airport, and I don't know, maybe a 3-hour flight. And so it'll be good. It allows us to expand. We do some recruiting in the west portion of the country in certain sports. So for us, again, you look back at why we wanted to transition, and one of the main reasons that I spoke about over and over again was expanding the profile of the institution, extending our brand beyond New York State, beyond central New York and western New York. Yeah. And I felt like the NEC would allow us to really gain a strong foothold not only in the New York City metropolitan area, but down in the Beltway, down in the DC area with our associate memberships in Maryland and Delaware and in Virginia. And now to have the ability to go out and compete in Chicago in the sports of volleyball, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, those teams will be taking trips out to Chicago. The other sports, they'll just compete within the structure of the NEC championships. But for those sports that I previously mentioned, they'll actually take trips out to Chicago. I think it's a brilliant move by the commissioner. It solidifies our membership. It stabilizes the AQ, that automatic qualifier for us for the short term and for the long term, because by time, in the next several years, Stonehill and LeMoyne will be counting. We'll be able to count towards that AQ. Right now, we don't count towards that AQ. So I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but Chicago State, the addition of Chicago State allows us now to not have to go and ask for a waiver from the NCAA, and we'll retain that AQ. And in the long term, once Stonehill and LeMoyne become fully counting Division I institutions, I feel like the vibrancy of this conference, the stability of this conference for the long term is in excellent stead, and that's a tribute to the leadership of Commissioner Morris.
Yeah, and that the special that's going to be airing this coming week, we're going to get into a lot of different pieces. But I always ask her, those dancing, that the realignment, reclassification, are they slippers? Are they sneakers? What are they? Are they heels? And definitely excited about this. But she said, we're always looking at expansion, and something that we'll talk about is the number of 10. So what can you say about the plans for the future? Because those conversations are ongoing, and the institutional connection is very important of the membership that are within the NEC. How confident are you of getting to a number of 10 and maybe looking at some of these additions to continue to grow the conference that you joined just a few months ago?
Yeah, Dan, I think this is such a dynamic space and things change overnight. And I think we have to be prepared for opportunity, just like LeMoyne needed to be prepared for opportunity when it came to gaining an invitation to a Division I conference. We had to be prepared to capitalize on that opportunity. And I think the NEC must also be prepared to capitalize on outside forces, right? Those external forces that could change overnight, meaning a conference shift by a member in a different conference. And now that might open up opportunities with movement within that particular conference. There's also some long-term considerations that some inventory out there that the commissioner has talked to the current membership about considering moving forward. And I'm not at liberty to really get into specifics of schools, but I can tell you she's got her eye on the short-term targets and also the long-term targets. And we're going to be prepared to move swiftly. We're going to be able to move decisively. And I think, again, a tribute to the commissioner's leadership, we'll be able to capitalize on any opportunity that comes, and she will be very proactive in doing whatever it takes to continue to stabilize the NEC. But I think we're in really good shape right now in the short term, and exceptionally strong in the long term once LeMoyne and Stonehill have completed their reclassification process.
And I have thoughts, Bob. You know that I do. So
always have thoughts.
But before I let you go, the men's soccer vacancy at head coach. I know that interim head coach Callum Donnelly brought the team to the postseason in the NEC, making history right away. And I know that we've been narrowing down this search. I would love for you to share what this has looked like, the response that you got of people interested in the head coaching availability, as well as, the caliber of what you've received, and whatever you would like to share about the process, because this is something that I have really been keeping a close eye on and wondering about. I got people asking me about it for the last couple months. So I would love to get your thoughts and the inside look at the world of the men's soccer head coach, which is something that I know that you were excited to take a look at because it had been over 2 decades since the position was open.
Yeah, Dan, great point. And first of all, I'd like to lead by just saying that we had great respect for Callum Donnelly, who was former player, former team captain, former assistant coach, and the interim head coach who took over leadership of the program this year after Coach Bonus announced his retirement in July. And we were going to start training within a couple of weeks. So it was a very challenging situation. And for Coach Callum to be able to lead that team in the manner in which he did, lead them to the NEC tournament in year one of our reclassification, was impressive. We were very competitive. The record was in no way indicative of how competitive we were. We had, I think, 2 wins, but we had 7 ties, 7 draws, and draws against some of the top teams in non-conference play in those conferences, whether it was Monmouth, whether it was Delaware, those types of things against quality competition, quality football competition. So we had great respect for the work and the leader that Coach Callum is, and the work that he completed this past year. But I really was motivated to open the search. We talked to Coach Callum about that when we asked him to lead in an interim capacity, and I was committed to that. I was committed to that search on behalf of the institution. There's a lot of work that goes into a head coaching search, and I think it would have been easy to just kind of hand Coach Callum that position, but I felt like it's in the best interest of the college to do a national search, to do a thorough national search. The program deserves to take a look at what other individuals might be interested in leading this program. And it's been a swift process. I'd like to put about a month timeline if I can on searches, maybe 5 weeks if holidays are involved. And I think we're staying true to that timeline. Our hope is that we'll be able to name a coach next week. We're kind of in the final processes of final stages of that process, I should say. And I'll also be candid. In the time that I've been at LeMoyne, this has been the most competitive head coaching search that we've had, the deepest in terms of candidate quality. It's been amazing. We had at last check 65 applicants, and we still received applicants this week, even though we're deep into the finalist stage. So and it's been a broad spectrum of candidates. We've had sitting Division I head coaches, past former Division I head coaches, current Division I assistants, former Division I assistants, people that have ties to Syracuse and area, and others that don't, from candidates from all over the country. So it has been a very successful process as far as I'm concerned. Our search committee has been diligent in their work, been an exhaustive search, to be honest with you, as we've really tried to stay true to our timeline. I'll share some of the details that I can. We started with a pool when we began the process was in the 50s, and now it's up over 65. We talked to 7 candidates as semifinalists via Zoom, and we did that prior to Thanksgiving. And then we've had on-campus interviews with 4 finalists this week and last week. And now I think we're in a position to hopefully come to a decision this week, today, maybe, perhaps, if we can, and or early next week. And then we're hopeful that we'll be able to announce the leader next week.
And the committee that is put together with this, just what you can say about the caliber of your committee to help in this discernment of finding the right head coach.
Well, we had an all-star cast, Dan, on our search committee. So our search committee, it was a small committee. I chaired the committee, but outside of me, it was an all-star cast. I'll say that. We had Scott Peterson was on our search committee. Scott is our associate AD for sports medicine. No one's been closer to the men's soccer program at LeMoyne for the past 2 decades than Scott. He has great passion for that program, and the young men in that program works very closely with them. So he gave us that perspective of being in the trenches with the team on a daily basis and really knowing their needs. We also had Jen Fabian. She is our associate AD and SWA, former women's soccer player here at LeMoyne, also played lacrosse, and is our compliance director, really important, and our sports supervisor for the sport of men's soccer. We had Dr. Sean Ward, who has held every position here over almost 4 decades at LeMoyne. He's currently our FAR, but he's also the head of the faculty senate. His son played Division I soccer at Bucknell, so brings so many different perspectives to our committee. And then Dr. Margie Erlin, who is a great friend of athletics and one of the most respected faculty members here on post. She is a faculty athletic affiliate with our softball team, so she's our lead faculty connection with the softball program. A tremendous professor in the marketing area, a great friend to the college, but certainly to the athletic department, and very knowledgeable and a big fan of athletics. So I think we had an all-star cast. And then when we had our finalists on campus, we put together I kind of call it a car wash. It's a full, exhaustive day for our candidates, and they meet with different stakeholder groups that include our senior leadership team. I put a group of head coaches together. They certainly, every candidate when they're on campus meets with the president. She makes it a point, so which just talks to you and our followers out there about the level of investment that our president has in taking the time to meet not just with the selectee, but with every single finalist that's on campus. She does that, takes time out of her hectic schedule to do that. And we're so blessed to have someone who cares that deeply about our program that she'll make that investment of time. And then maybe most importantly, we have a session with current student athletes. So our current student athletes have an opportunity to meet with each of the candidates. And then I gain valued feedback from all those stakeholder groups. And, I met with several of the team members yesterday to get their feedback because I want their voice to be heard. All these groups are advisory groups. They don't make the decision. Ultimately, the president will make the decision. I'll gain recommendations from all these groups, including the search committee. And then ultimately I'll make a decision, and then I'll bring it to the president for her final veto or approval, and we'll discuss that and then extend an offer. But that's a little behind the scenes of kind of how this search process played out, and it's kind of how I like to run all of our searches in a very consistent manner.
Yeah, and there's an excitement to it. It's an exhaustive process, but it's also an exciting process. And I know you spoke so highly of Callum, and just as you've gone through this process of trying to find the right people, what has been the, like, you have to, this is the checklist you have to meet, you have to have this, when you got down to these four candidates, what do they have in common that made you say, of the 60 plus, these four are the ones that we really, really have to look at? What were some of those maybe common themes or threads that you saw in them?
And I'd say they're non-negotiables with us. We have to have our finalists at this point. We have to feel very strongly they're going to be aligned with our mission. They're going to be aligned with the mission of the college, the mission of the athletic department. We feel like they have to have a shared value set. Like, that's a non-negotiable. We have to understand that academics comes first. The mission of the college, we're here to support the mission of the college. That's the number one non-negotiable. But we also want all of our finalists, obviously, to have an expertise in their field, whether it be tactical, technical, how they interact with student athletes, the relationships that they form. They're going to be our subject matter expert on campus for all these. I like to refer to our head coaches as CEOs of their program. So we want someone that's going to come in here and manage all facets of the program that can set a standard, hold our student athletes to that standard, but also do it in empathetic leadership. It's really important that we're able to lead, but lead in a way that we're trying to develop the whole person in all of our student athletes, not just the top players on a roster, not the top 14 soccer players that might see the most action in any match. We want whole person development, whole team development, complete alignment with the college and an athletic department's mission, a keen expertise, an insatiable desire to recruit. I think that is an extremely important element that all of our candidates have. They have to have an insatiable appetite to recruit and hit the road and find that talent in every corner of this country, and in this, particularly in the sport of soccer, in all areas of the world, really, internationally and domestic. So those are some of the main characteristics that we're looking for in the leaders of all of our programs. Those are common themes across the board when we do a search. Yeah. And those are common themes that we found in our finalists for sure. And our semifinalists all shared that. They were some very difficult conversations to narrow our field from 65 to 7, and then it got increasingly difficult as we started to whittle the field from 7 to 4. And this final decision will be an extremely difficult one as well, because it's been a razor thin margin in some cases.
Yeah, and the Northeast ties, does that have a place? And then also, did they have to be a Division I head coach? Oh, I know you said you had assistants that applied, but when it came down to the criteria and making these tough decisions, Did it come down to we want someone with head coaching experience, we want someone with ties to the Northeast? What were some of those things that helped you make those difficult decisions?
I think we factor all those elements in to our decision, but I wouldn't say that there was a requirement to have Division I head coaching experience. I wouldn't say there was a requirement to have a tie to the Northeast or the Syracuse area. All those elements though help, right? Because we're going to evaluate the full picture. We're going to evaluate those connections within our backyard, but also nationally and internationally. Those are really important, particularly again in the sport of football, as we like to call it. Right? It's really important here that it's not just hey, that's someone with strong ties to Syracuse, but has little or no ties across the country and or little or no ties in the international space. That's equally important right now. So I wouldn't say we had any limiting factors, but certainly the more check marks you can place next to your name, these are all things we consider and evaluate.
Final note here, Bob. This is a very important one. Battle for the Interstate is happening this Saturday. There's a trophy for it. This is one of those, like, I feel like someone reached into my brain and said, hey, here's an idea. So, I mean, to see Binghamton and LeMoyne face off against each other, LeMoyne goes to Binghamton this season. Binghamton comes to LeMoyne next season. We got the Battle for the Interstate. And that's happening this week, this Saturday, and it's going to be down about an hour down 81 to Binghamton. It's going to happen at 2 p.m. But here's the kicker, Bob. There's this game at Gillette Stadium that's being played a little bit earlier this year. Normally it's around my grandma's birthday of December 15th. It's around like the 13th, 15th, 11th. So on the 9th, Army and Navy will have the Army-Navy game at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, the home of the Patriots. So, Bob, how are you going to balance your cell phone and being in Binghamton?
Well, pretty easily, Dan. Might surprise you. It'll be pretty easy. I will be solely, intently focused on our men's basketball game, our competition down the I-81 Quarter Classic, right? Battle for the Interstate. This is a fantastic event. You know, when we spoke of the realignment, one of the benefits was to create some geographic rivalries. When I asked that question during my interview process here, I asked who was LeMoyne's rival, and no one could come up with a consistent answer. And we said in the Division I realignment, if we transition and reclassify, we're going to be able to create these really interesting and compelling rivals geographically, whether it was Binghamton or Colgate or Cornell or St. Bonaventure, Niagara, Canisius, and I can go on and on and on. So this is really the first of the seeds of what we talked about. This hopefully will be a really interesting rivalry.
Yeah.
The Battle for the Interstate, we have a 4-year agreement in place, so it'll last at least 4 years, and we're excited about that. In terms of me with Army Navy, yeah, I'll have laser focus on this event, and when I get in the car on the drive back, I'll find the game on the radio and tune in and listen. I was down at West Point this week for the first time since I left 3 years ago, and there was a lot of excitement down there. And you know, I still have a strong interest in the Army football program and all those sports, but you know, my allegiance is to LeMoyne. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, and like you said, a 4-year agreement is that, and we already know this year, next year. Is it these next 4 seasons that we're looking at?
Yeah, at least, Dan. You know, we signed a 4-year deal in our agreement with the men's basketball program, and then we kind of built this rivalry. The concept for it was around that deal. I would imagine that this is you could see this extend for many years, but a 4-year agreement in men's basketball or women's basketball is probably on the longer side. Most cases they're home and home agreements, but we decided at the outset to do a 4-year without even knowing that we would build this concept of the Battle for the Interstate, the I-81 Quarter Classic, as I like to refer to it. And it'll be a lot of fun. We have 5 buses of students going down to support our team. It's finals the weekend before finals, so hopefully maybe they take a break on Saturday from their studies or study on the bus rides to and fro, but finals start on Monday. But having said that, we have 5 busloads going down there. I think it'll be a great experience. I think the environment, it will be electric. I'm confident that our team will compete relentlessly and compete ferociously down there. It's a talented Binghamton squad, and I think it's, again, these are the life experiences. This kind of event hasn't existed at LeMoyne previously, where we could hop on a bus and take 5 busloads of students down an hour away and really root hard and let off some steam prior to finals. And again, the power of Division I athletics. This is a great example of it.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff this morning, a lot of great things happening, and battle for the interstate. We will hopefully see so many of you on campus at Binghamton University this Saturday. And this Saturday, December 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time is the tip-off for the men's basketball inaugural Battle for the Interstate game, which I am very, very much looking forward to. Bob, as always, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being so candid and open about this in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. We're proud to not only bring you information you can't find anywhere else, but bring it to you first. Bob, thank you for everything as always. Fins up, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Have a great weekend, Dan. Fins up.
Take care. That coming from Bob Beretta. Once we get, folks, looking at the men's soccer opening, and say a lot of people call it football here in America. We call it soccer. I don't know how it happened, but that's what it is. So football, and definitely appreciate so many things we got to talk about on the men's soccer side, as well as looking at the NEC and the battle for the interstate and everything that's coming up. A lot of great things, a lot of awesome opportunities. Congratulations to the fall programs and all of the hard work, dedication, and determination the student athletes, coaches, and staff put in, as well as the faculty athletic representatives like Dr. Sean Ward and people that just care and are a part of these programs and are connected to these pieces. Dr. Sean leading the way, and beyond that, to see the faculty involve themselves is really a beautiful thing. Of course, Dr. Linda Lemira, Athletics Director Bob Beretta as well. So shout out to the fall, big time shout out to the winter sports that are competing right now as well, and everything that they have done to make this a really exciting and fun season in their first season in Division I. Men's and women's basketball already getting their first Division I victory against a Division I opponent as a Division I program. So shout out to Mary Grimes and the women's basketball team at LeMoyne, and shout out to Nate Champion and the men's basketball team. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back with the annoying moment of the week, lead, top dog of the week, all leading into our conversation with Jason Poles at the bottom of the second hour of the broadcast, right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here. which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports meets life. Gave you a bonus coverage of LeMoyne today with AD and DT. Typically, we do that the first and third Wednesday of each month, but we brought you the Dolphin Dive with Nate Champion, the head coach of the men's basketball team this Wednesday, and we brought you AD and DT with Bob Beretta just now, going over a ton of pieces, including the Northeast Conference as a whole, the success of Division I for LeMoyne up to this point, as well as the challenges and all of the growth that comes from moving to Division I, and an inside look at the men's soccer head coach vacancy and what it has dwindled down to from 65 applicants, including more maybe coming in still, to getting down to 7, to getting down to the 4 finalists, and to hopefully be making a decision next week. So a lot of great stuff, and you heard it here first on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Let's hop in to the annoying moment of the week.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The annoying moment of the week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so.
The annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. I always love listening to that intro, and I definitely appreciate this being our longest standing segment that we've ever done on the show, and with our longest standing partner, Carvel DeWitt, the longest standing Carvel franchise in America. And I think that's the most that I've said longest standing in a sentence ever in 38 years of being alive. But it was worth it because it's awesome. So with that being said, my annoying moment of the week this week. Man, I got choices. You know, it's always good when you have choices. What annoyed you, Dan? Well, what annoyed you the most? But, you know, I would say, you know, there's a bunch of different places I could go to. But I would say I have a few examples of people that don't really know what you're going through. And we live in a world where so many people are thinking that they have the right to talk to people about those people's lives. Now, the reason why they feel like they have a right is because a lot of us put our life on social media, right? We put our life out there. And so they're like, if you put it out there, you know, like, I mean, whoever thought that you put out a picture of your baby, like you're so happy that you're finally a parent, and you put out a picture of your baby and somebody goes, your baby's ugly. Your baby looks stupid. Your baby looks cross-eyed. What is that baby? Is that a male baby? Is that a girl baby? What type of baby is that? That baby looks like a walrus. You know, there's so many things that people feel like they can say, really say anything, right? Say literally anything, and not like the movie. Not like the movie with John Cusack. Good movie, by the way. But say, that was a movie where we said some good things. But saying anything, and you realize that there is a peanut gallery in real life, and there's a peanut gallery on social media. And you say, damn, well, social media is real life. And I would say, to me it is, because I'm the same person on and off the air. But to other people, it's not. Some people live a totally different life. See, the sad thing about social media and how some people use it is that they don't amount to anything in their lives. They just look like they do. I'm going to say that again. They don't amount to anything in their life. They just look like they do. Right? It's easy to be on your couch, use a bunch of different filters, put on a mink coat, and look like you're rich. You walk to a pier, stand in front of a boat, say, look at my new boat. This boat is awesome. Right? But you had to do a couple different takes because the actual owner of the boat was yelling at you to get away from the boat. And he just stepped away for 5 minutes, so you got a nice video of you with the boat. Your boat. But it's not. See, On social media, people can hide. On social media, people can, everybody's great, right? Everybody's a model. Everybody's rich. Everybody's got it all. But in reality, there's those that spend time on social media looking like they got it like that. And then there's people that work hard to have it, to have whatever they're going after. I don't need the crazy cars and the big houses and all that stuff. That doesn't do anything for me. A house is not a home based on how big it is. A house is a home based on the warmth of it. And I'm not talking about your heating system. It's about the people that you put in. It's about the animals. Like Lily and I have a warm home, right? If a woman were to come into my life and I was to discern good dating, right? If I was to actually go out with somebody, she would have to add to the warmth of my home. Because Lily and I are good. But not a lot of people think about things like that. Or I shouldn't say not a lot of people think about things like that. Some people don't think about things like that, because I don't want to be grouped in there either. Some people think about this stuff, some people don't. But they think, man, in order to have a good house, I got to have a lot of stuff. Right? But what I realized when I just did a show recently, a card and collectible and all that show, is that I'm okay to part with a bunch of my stuff. I brought a ton of my stuff. I clean up areas in my office and it looked great. And I love that. We don't need all the stuff. And you don't need people, right? You don't have to have, because that's the thing. When you feel like you need to have a person, you'll take anybody. But when you want to have the right person, you will discern and you will take your time. And that's what I'm doing. I'm discerning and I'm taking my time because my house is warm and I need to keep my house warm. I need to keep my love strong in my house. Lily is a wonderful example of God's love. I try to be. I try to be a good dad to her. I try to take care of myself. I can do a heck of a better job. She loves me. I love her. We got a warm house. And my mom has a warm and welcoming house. My dad has a warm and welcoming house because there's love in the house. And we have to remember that. Papa Joe and Mary T have warmth and love in their house. Joey has warmth and love in his house. And I appreciate those things. And those are the places that you want to go to. So my annoying moment of the week is going back to social media and in general, people feel the need in today's society to comment when you really don't know what's going on. Like, I have a neck injury. I don't have a brace on my neck, right? You can't see anything visible. You might be able to see that, in the back, the back area of my neck, that, you could, if you look really closely and stuff, you can see okay, maybe he's got a neck injury. But to the normal person going through their normal pace of life, you can't tell that I have a neck injury. And so I'm on a plane, right? And a woman asked me to help her with her bag. Now, I know that my neck hurts. And yet, I don't want to not help this woman. Now, and I thought to my head, and this is the society we live in, and this is stupid. It's ridiculous. But if I had refused to help that woman, who was probably in her 60s, 70s, if I refused to help that woman, somebody on the plane would have been like, what a jerk. Can you believe it? What a young man refuses to help this woman. What is society coming to? Well, this young man has a neck injury. And when I landed, and I won't talk about the airline because it's not that I would never fly on this airline again, but I'm disappointed in this airline. And the connection that they gave me was 21 minutes. Now, anybody that's ever been on a plane and cares about, other people and respects other people, 21 minutes is not enough time to get off your plane and go on to the plane next door, nor is it enough time for what I had to do in Charlotte, which is go from the B gate to the D gate. So with a neck injury, I'm supposed to run. Now, if they said we could put you in a wheelchair, and that would have taken longer. So I got to make sure that I'm stopping, I'm breathing, I'm checking my neck, I'm making sure I'm okay, because I don't need to kill myself and hurt myself for the long term and re-aggravate my injury just to get across the airport. And so I'm trying to do this. This flight made me over 2 hours late. I get there. I walk up to the guy's shouting at me. Just shouting at me. No, plane's closed. Sorry, closed. No, move on to the next one. Next one. Yep, sir. Yep. Not even looking at me in the face. And I thought to myself, y'all made me late. I didn't make myself late. I wasn't at Starbucks getting a coffee, just dilly-dallying around. I wasn't like picking my nose in the corner going, oh, I think my flight's taking off. Like I did everything I could to get off the plane. But before I got off the plane, I walked in front of somebody. Now, people do this to me all the time. Somebody did it to me on the way home. A woman did it to me on the way home. And I had stepped in front of, there was a guy getting off with his wife, and so he got out of the row, and I stepped in front of her thinking, okay, you know, I might have enough time to just go. Now, I let everybody else go that was in front of me. I've seen other people just like, I'm surprised they didn't jump over the seats. And I've had women consistently block me. I've had men turn around and block me. And so I stepped in front of this woman. And everything inside of me was like, man, let her go. Let her go. You're a gentleman. Let her go. Let her go. But you got to get to your flight. You got to get to your flight. Like, you have no time. You don't even have 3 seconds to spare. You have to go. You got to get to you have to get to your flight because you have work to do. Like, I was going and I had work to. I was going to a work event, and these two guys, probably in their 40s, started to mumble and make comments. And then they were loud enough to be passive-aggressive. And they were like, oh, looks like somebody's in a hurry. And I turned around and I said, yeah, I have 20 minutes to make my flight. I don't know why this concerns you. I have 20 minutes to make my flight is what I said. And he said, well, I have 10 minutes to make my flight. And I'm like, of course he does. Because if I said I had 5, he would have 1. Because you got to be argumentative. Your life has to be more important than mine. If I say that I have a neck injury, you have a neck and a back injury. If I say I have 20 minutes, you say you have 10 minutes. If I say I just survived an earthquake, you just survived an earthquake after a tornado. Because that's how some people are. Maybe he did have 10 minutes, but he wasn't moving like he had 10 minutes. He didn't even look like he was trying to get off the plane. He was just kind of taking his time. But at the end of the day, I bring up these things, and I bring up the guy that was yelling, you know, and I was trying to tell him, I was like, I have a neck injury. Didn't care. Then I go up to the counter. I tell the woman I have a neck injury. They made me 3 hours late, like almost 3 hours late. I have all this, you know, I was like, I wasn't late for the flight. I was trying to get across the airport. Your airline made us late. And what am I supposed to do with a neck injury? That woman didn't say anything to me. She didn't say, I'm sorry that you're going through this. Nothing. She just typed on her computer, and the only time she looked up from her computer was because somebody brought her Starbucks. So apparently, maybe I should have brought her a Starbucks muffin, and she would have cared that I had a neck injury. But what I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, from the guy on the plane to the person on social media to the people, one guy yelling at me at the gate and the other lady not even paying attention, is that we feel like we know what's going on in everybody's life, right? They see me late and they go, oh, this is the 18th person this week that can't get on a dang plane on time. Instead of looking at me individually and saying, maybe the first 17 people were at Starbucks. Maybe the first 17 people were just kind of dilly-dallying. Maybe the first 17 people didn't, or maybe one of those 17 people that came before me, maybe one of them fell asleep and didn't set an alarm. Maybe one of them was having an argument with their girlfriend or boyfriend and they got carried away with time because they were so emotional. Maybe there's things going on in people's lives that we need to care for. And the door was still open when I got to the plane. And he told me the door was closed. And I'm looking at an open door. So when I look at these things, I say to myself, have a heart. I challenge myself. And when people say, you know, you're overreacting about this, or you care too much about this, or whatever, this is what I say to people. This is how I discern. I say, the thing that I'm upset about, if I did that to somebody else, would they be upset? Now, I can't speak for every human being, but I flip it. And I say to myself, would I be yelling at somebody that's coming up to a plane not knowing who this person is? Would I ignore them the whole time? Pretty much. And barely have a conversation with them. Would I go, somebody must be in a hurry. Roger, look at that guy. Me. You know, so like, you know, and am I the guy on social media that feels the need to like go on every page of the movies that I watch that I don't like and go, this movie sucks. This movie sucks. Everybody on the movie should kill themselves. Like, I talk about God and people I mean, I looked at a message today and I was like, that's not even worth reading. You know what I mean? It's not even worth reading on social media because you get all these beautiful messages and thank God. I mean, so many of them are better than not. But why do people feel like you can talk about everybody else's life? You don't know these people. I don't like keeping up with the Kardashians. Right? And I joke about stuff, but if I actually hurt Kim Kardashian's feelings by telling a joke or Kris Jenner, what I would say, okay, like I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Yeah, go make your money. I don't get it. I don't like the show. I don't enjoy drama. But if you're happy in your life and you're not hurting anybody, do you. Now, if you're hurting somebody, then I'm not okay with it. But you know what? The Kardashians, if somebody wanted to follow me around and film every moment of my life, no thank you. If you want to do a documentary and we're going to film at times, okay. Do I want a camera in my face all day? No. Do I want a camera in my face when I'm laying in bed? No. Do I want a camera in my face when I'm on a date with a lady? No. Do I want a camera in my face when I'm walking my dog? No. So, and most people don't. But some people are okay with it, right? You sell your soul for the money. But maybe they didn't. Maybe this is something that they love to do. Maybe the Kardashians, they were made for this. I have no idea. I joke about things, but in no way, shape, or form do I intend to disrespect, discredit, or put down their life. And if I ever have, I apologize. I'm sorry. Because to me, that's what we have to say. And I'm saying it on camera so that you can hear me and see me around the world. Because how many times do people say, I'm sorry? I didn't mean for that. I didn't want to hurt you. Kim Kardashian and I have the same birthday. Kim gets probably God knows how many negative messages on our birthday. I don't know her. I wrote out to her. I said, happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. She didn't respond. I know she got a million things going on, but it was a positive message. I thought, hey, maybe she'll respond. I don't watch her show. She doesn't watch my show, I'm sure. And, I shouldn't say I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe she does watch the show. But I said happy birthday, right? Out of the goodness of my heart, happy birthday. I don't agree with, I wouldn't live my life the way you're living your life, but do you, boo? It's your birthday. Happy birthday. I'm going to celebrate me, not celebrate everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, happy birthday. So, I don't understand this need to comment on everything, Why don't, I think America needs to go back and watch Bambi. I think the world needs to go back and watch Bambi. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Keep your mouth shut. Shut it up. Because what benefit are you giving anybody by running your mouth? If you don't agree, then that's fine. But you don't need to tell everybody you don't agree. Right? Somebody says, hey, did you like that movie? You could say yes, you could say no, you could say why. You could critique it. I critique movies on Superpowered Pop, but I'm not a jerk about it. Whenever I'm getting into something, I'm having fun. And maybe I'm going after it, right? And I'm having a good time and I'm joking and I'm messing. But I check myself in my head and I say to myself, Dan, let's make sure we're respecting these people, right? You might be joking around about it. You might think that this is funny, but let's make sure that what if it was you? What if it was you, right? What if somebody was talking about your show about that, or talking about your voice, or talking about, people make fun of me. People make fun of me, and you know what I think about those people? I feel like they're uneducated. I feel like they're like subhuman. I do. I don't consider people that make fun of people to be, now you could joke around about stuff. I joke around about relationships. I joke around about things I've been through, but I don't do it. I don't ever do something to hurt somebody. I don't want to hurt anybody. I have no desire to hurt somebody. Did I have relationships that were not great? Absolutely. Did I have relationships that were great? Absolutely. Have I found the right person? No. And in that discernment process, you have a choice. You can be depressed and negative when bad things happen, or you could find the levity, the value. You can find the lesson. I tell jokes. I joke around about it. But in no way, shape, or form would I want to disrespect those people. That's why I don't say their names. Now, some people might know, okay, well, that, okay, I know him well enough to know that this is the situation. But, see, I don't seek, and when I've failed doing this, I apologize, and I'm sorry. I don't seek to hurt people. I don't seek to hurt people. I don't seek to hurt people to hurt me. When my ex-wife and I said adieu, when we goodbye, no part of me was like, let me do to her what she did to me so she can feel that. I just said, you know what? She's not right for me. I'm out. I hope she lives a great life. I don't want to live it with her, but I hope she's happy. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. If I saw her today, would I be like, oh my God, hey, what's up? No, because I'm not fake. But I wouldn't be like middle finger and see you later. I'd be like, hey, I hope you're doing well. I don't need to know anything about your life, but just know that I pray for you and I hope the best. And I do. I pray for her, pray for her family. Because Jesus Christ didn't come to help me and save me. Jesus Christ came to help and save us all. I'm not trying to be mutually exclusive with Jesus Christ. That's not my right. So, the annoying moment of the week in real life and on social media, when people are commenting, when you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, Dan, does that mean that I can't constructively criticize? Does it mean I have to agree with everything you say? No. But there's a difference between respect. Like, when people disagree with me and it's respectful, I'll have the conversation. When people disagree with me and they get personal, I'm not having the conversation. There's a difference between those two things, right? I have an opinion about something. You don't agree with my opinion. You lash out and attack me. I'm a stranger. You don't know what I can do. I could be a crazy person, right? I could be somebody that's on the verge of jumping off a cliff. And I get one more social media message and boom, there I go. Why don't we think about that stuff, man? Why don't we think about that stuff? I don't create content and put stuff out there in hopes that people jump off a cliff. I'm putting out content to get them to hopefully not jump off the cliff. You got to think about what you're doing. Because I would venture to say that all of you people being nasty on social media and in real life, you wouldn't want somebody talking about you like that. You wouldn't want me to say, if you stepped in front of a woman or a man on a plane, you wouldn't want me to say, oh, that guy looks like a jerk. What an idiot. Oh, that woman is disrespectful. What a jerk. Because I don't know your life. You might have just got a phone call that your dad's in the hospital. And everything inside of you is fighting you from pushing around these people to get by because you know that they're going to think you're a jerk. And you are all about manners, but you got to get home to your dad. Yeah, some people might be rushing to get off a plane because they're rude. Some people might be rushing to get off a plane because somebody's in trouble. Because they can't wait to see their girlfriend. Right? Somebody's rushing to get off a plane because they're madly in love. Some people are rushing to get off a plane because they're claustrophobic. Some people are rushing to get off a plane because they're just rude. And those guys that commented about me, they were dead wrong. And I'm sure they would not want me commenting about them. And I see on social media, Fran Brown gets hired to Syracuse, and I got people already condemning him on social media. I'm seeing people already thinking this man is trash. He hasn't even coached yet. Shut up. Just shut up. You haven't even seen this man coach yet. You hate this man already? That's how you're going to welcome him to the city? Welcome to my city. I hate you. Really? And if you act like that, you don't deserve a good coach. Deserve is a word I don't like, so let me find a different word. If you treat somebody with disrespect, the second you meet them, you don't even know anything about this man, right? And maybe you know a little bit about him. But you're going to do this thing. He just came here. And some of you are going to welcome Fran with open arms. And other people, as an example, other people are like on social media, and they would never say this to his face, but on social media, they're like, man, I don't want this guy here. You don't even know the man. You don't even know the man. When I defended Scott Schaefer, I had people making fun of me, bashing me, ridiculing me for respecting somebody. And all these years later, some of these people come around now. Oh, Dan, you know Scott, he's not that bad. He was all right. You know, it's like, man, would you want somebody to talk about you like that? Would you want somebody to just be sitting in front of your house commenting on your life? You come outside and they go, hey, look at Jim. Drinking a few more beers, Jim. Mowing that lawn, huffing and puffing. Look at you right now. You got fatter, Jim. Oh, Stacy, that is an ugly dress. That makes you look like a whale. You know, I mean, would you want somebody? But that's what people do on social media all day long. Maybe Stacy and Jim just did that. Maybe Jim went on Facebook and just told somebody, you're an idiot. Maybe Stacy just went on to this girl she went to high school with, and maybe she just commented on her Instagram and said, this girl is a hoe. You know what I mean? They might have just done that. Why do we do that? You don't know what's going on in people's lives. You know what they show you. You know what they might tell you. Some people say things on social media because they're going crazy inside. Some people share their personal stuff on social media because they don't know where to go. They don't feel like they have somebody to go to. They don't feel like they have an answer. They feel lost. They feel desperate. They feel sad. If they don't believe in God, they feel like there's nobody there for them. Which is false, but some people believe that there is no God. And you're entitled to have your own beliefs. Doesn't mean you're right. So the next time you go to comment in somebody's personal life, the next time you go to comment on social media, whether you're in someone's face or you're behind a keyboard, you have to remember that the way you treat people is the way you will eventually get treated. That's life. If you put love in the air, love is going to come find you. If you put hate in the air, hate is going to come find you. The telltale heart, baby, you don't get away with it forever. Karma is only a bee if you slap her. When you respect karma, when you're good to people, karma's your girl, man. Karma coming to you looking beautiful as ever. Karma giving you a kiss on the cheek saying, how's your day? But when you slap karma, well, she's coming with a sledgehammer and a chainsaw. You better get to know it. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back with Lead right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose
us at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Time to jump into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. And right after you heard from the wonderful leader of, and very faithful leader of Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Mr. Jimmer Sikowski, after hearing from him, and I got to see him yesterday and always
recording in
my
progress.
buddies. So having the opportunity to see him and interviewing his brother, Andy Sikowski.
Recording
Andy
stopped.
And I will be sharing with you the newest edition of The Light Between Us, which I always look forward to bringing you another segment that we do with Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay with their team members at both locations. And, of course, here with Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver with both locations as well. So always appreciate being able to bring this to you and have the opportunity to bring you Lead as well as The Light Between Us. So look out for The Light Between Us later today, and Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, the acronym for Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Today's topic, how do you smell the roses? What do you mean by that, Dan? I just put my nose in and smell the roses. No. I'm asking you a question that's deeper than that. How do you smell the roses? Do you take the time? Do you take the time to stop and smell the roses? Do you take the time to appreciate the life that you have right now? Do you take the time to pet your dog, or do you just drive around the house going on? Like when you leave the house, because we do this all the time. I've done this. Right? You're in the house with the dog. You don't hang out with the dog. You just let the dog kind of hang out, do her own thing, do his own thing. You don't spend any time with your dog. You leave the house, you go, man, I miss my dog. Can't wait to get home to my dog. You drive home to your dog, you're so excited. You pet the dog for 2 minutes, and you're back to ignoring the dog again. How do you smell the roses? Do you appreciate where you're at? Right? Do you appreciate where you're at? See, I had a moment this past Monday of doing that. I was at the introductory press conference for Fran Brown, and I appreciated the moment. I was excited. I don't know how to describe it, but something inside of me was more excited. It was a different type of excitement than I've ever had with the Syracuse football program. It's a different type of excitement. When I went to bed the night before, I was pumped. I was ready. I got up in the morning, I was pumped. I was ready. And I was really looking forward to it. And I came out of the thing feeling even better about it. And I celebrated the moment. I said, man, it's the first time you get to talk to Fran Brown. You look that man in the eye. You ask him the questions that you care about. It come from your heart. And he's going to know that. And then I got to see my buddies. I got to see Bruce Williams. I got to see Rob Drummond. I got to talk with them, see how they were doing. Saw him interact with them. Got to go over, shake Fran's hand. Fran gave me a hug. Appreciate that. Appreciate that first impression. It's important. You can only do a first impression one time. And I said to myself, man, this is beautiful. I can't wait to be a part of this press conference. I can't wait to be a part of this piece of history and get to meet Fran Brown. Then I jumped on a plane. Then I went down to Jacksonville. And the Jaguars and the Bengals went into overtime. And I put a video up on social media. I was walking the track. And I said, something big's going on in Duval. And I had a great time. Then I went down and I did interviews with a bunch of the guys, including Evan Ingram and Zay Jones. And Zay and Evan have a strong faith in God, like I do. And we sat and we talked about God. We talked about football. We talked about things that matter. And Zay did something for me. Zay showed me love in a way that he didn't even know. And I went and I told him. God showed himself to me all day long. I stopped and I smelled the roses that day. I did. I also complained that day. And because I knew what it was like to stop and smell the roses, I apologized to God and to my family for complaining, because life is good. Life is good. And even when life is not that good, life is good. If you woke up this morning, life is good. But Dan, I woke up with pain. Yeah, but you woke up. You could have woke up dead. Can't do that, right? Can't wake up dead. But you woke up. I had pain, Dan. Yeah, but you're still alive. Man, I called my sister, told her about this guy that I wanted to date with. I was so mad at him. Da 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 da. Well, you got a sister to call that loves you and wants to listen to your problems. That's a blessing. People don't think about that. It's a blessing to have something to complain about because it means you're alive and it means you care. And if you have somebody to complain to, that means that they got you too. And that's a blessing. But I want to send you something. I want to throw this at you. Complaints are prayers to the devil. Complaints are prayers to the devil. That's what they are. I'm not saying you don't have a right to be upset about something. You absolutely do. But look at when you get on the phone and you waste all that time talking about that person that did you dirty, right? This person cheated on me. This person lied to me. This person disrespected me. This person stole from me. This person ignored me. This person cut me off in traffic. And now you're 30 minutes into your conversation with your dad. You haven't talked about anything about him. And you haven't talked about anything positive. And that half hour's gone. It's never coming back. It's never coming back. That half hour is gone. And you complain the whole time. You think complaining makes God happy? Did it make you happy? It's good to get things out. It's good to talk about things. But there's a difference between complaining and working out a problem. There's a difference between going into something with a positive mindset and going into something negative. Complaints are negative. Blessings are positive. Do you appreciate your blessings? Do you smell the roses? Do you take time out of your day to thank God for what you got? Do you take time out of your day to thank your family and friends for being there? Do you take time out of your day to say, thank you, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God, for giving me today. Thank you, God, for waking me up today. Thank you, God, that my dog is here, that my cat is here. Thank you for my house. Thank you that there's heat in it. It's cold outside. Thank you for the food that I have. Thank you for getting to do what I love and love what I do. Right? But some people say, Dan, I got a lot of things that aren't going well. God isn't looking out for me. He's not blessing me. Smell the roses, folks. Okay? When I was in the hospital with my neck injury, I got a neck injury that's going to heal. I'm going to be fine. The lady next to me is going through cancer treatment. She had radiation. Her tailbone hurts. She's not sitting down for a long period of time. You know what I thought to myself? She's mad. She's sad. She's frustrated. Her life is hard right now. But her husband was by her side. Her husband was there asking questions. When she was uncomfortable, he was getting up saying, can somebody help her? Not everybody has that. So I didn't like that she was in pain, but I love the fact that somebody was there for her. You got to look at things differently. I have to look at things differently. We live in a negative society. People love hearing bad things. Ew. That's not what we do here. That's not what Wake Up Call does. We got to smell I have to smell the roses. You need to smell the roses. You might have a really good taco today. I want you to put your phone down, and I want you to eat that taco, and I want you to be like, man, this is a really good taco. Yes. My taste buds are dancing right now. They're probably the best taco I ever had in my whole life. I got to tell all my friends about this place. Enjoy your food. Enjoy the scenery. If the snow falls, instead of complaining about it, enjoy how pure it is. Enjoy what you do. Enjoy your life. You can't control almost everything on this planet, but you can, and on other planets and everywhere else, but you can control your response to things. Smell the roses. Take the time to breathe it in and learn something. Grow. Put your mind at ease. Put your heart at ease. We all get hurt. We all get broken up with. We lose jobs. We didn't get this house. We didn't have this money. We all go through stuff. right? We all go through stuff. This person's dad died of cancer when they were 16. My grandfather's died when I was 6. We all go through stuff. But I'm not 38 years old going, poor me, 32 years later. My grandfathers aren't here. When I see people with their grandfathers, I don't get jealous. I think about my grandfathers every single day. 3 decades, and I think about them every single day. You want to know why? Because love is real. Because I have to smell the roses. When my grandfathers show me them, and they still do from heaven all the time, because God is good, when I see them, I say thank you. When I think about them, I say thank you. Because I had the best grandfathers on the planet. And I knew that in 6 years. And I can't wait to see them in heaven. But I got a lot of work to do before I get there. So smell those roses and enjoy your life. Really quick before we have Jason Poles come on. It's time for the top dog of the week. Top dog of the week proudly presented by K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, both in East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street. Make sure you head out there for short and long-term care for your furry loving friend. The top dog of the week this week. There's a bunch of different places that we can go. There's a lot of different things that we can say. Who is the top dog of this week? Right now. I'm going to give it, because this is my top dog, I'm going to give it to Zay Jones. And I'm going to tell you why. Zay Jones, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I covered him in East Carolina and followed him throughout his career. Happy he came to Jacksonville. My world is small, and it's awesome. And covered him in college, and then I get to cover him in the NFL because of any team he could go to, he ends up at Jacksonville, a team that I've covered on-site, on location for the better part of the last 13 years. So we're in the locker room Monday Night Football, and the Jaguars have these awesome chairs, these leather chairs, Jaguars logo on it. And I said to Zay, I was like, hey, you got some time? He's like, yeah, man, of course. Because we've built a relationship. We have a rapport, which is also a blessing. Thank God. And I said to Zay, you got time? He was like, yeah. Pull up a chair. And I was like, for real? Media doesn't sit down in the locker room. I didn't even think we're allowed to sit down in the locker room. He goes, pull up a chair. So my neck was hurting. My neck injury was not feeling great. So I sat down. And I hung out with him. We talked. Guy came up during the interview, media guy, to do his interview. And so I'm talking to him. I get up when I finished. I got up to leave. He slapped my leg like, hey, man, like, I see you. I appreciate you. So I walk away. I do an interview with Evan Engram. I come back. And I'm talking to Zay. And I said, hey, and there was another reporter there. She wasn't interviewing him. She was just standing there at the time. And I said, hey, man, I got to tell you something. I was like, you believe in God, I believe in God. I got to tell you something. You gave me a seat today, and I respect that. I shook his hand. I gave him a hug. I said, you didn't know I had a neck injury. You didn't know that I needed to rest. You didn't know that I was feeling in pain a little bit. And you gave me a seat out of the goodness of your heart. You gave me a place to sit because you're a good person, because you care. You had no idea what was going on in my life, yet you took care of me in a way that I will never forget. And he said, wow. And he's my top dog of the week because he showed me God just by being a good person. He didn't need to hear that I was hurting. He didn't need to hear that there was something going on. And that goes back to lead. You never know what's going on in somebody else's life. And it goes back to the annoying moment of the week. You never know what's going on in somebody else's life. Him offering me a seat, a place to rest, that's biblical stuff. Those who are weary will have rest. He gave me a seat because he's a good person. He believes in God, and he believes in helping others. He had no idea the state that I was in. He just did something good for somebody else. He didn't have to know the problem to be a good person. He didn't have to have a reason to care. And that's why he's the top dog of the week. So yeah, you want Zay to catch passes, and you want him to do well for your fantasy team. I want more people to be like Zay. Because doing things like that is an unforgettable experience of seeing God's face in another person. God bless you, Zay. You're my top dog of the week. With that being said, let's get into our conversation with Jason Poles here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Always happy to have Jason on the broadcast. Appreciate him so very much. Defensive back alum, one of the greats at Syracuse. He helped the team to go to have 3 straight Big East titles and went to the Orange Bowl back in 1999. He's on the West Coast taking care of Syracuse University, but I see this man on the East Coast all the time. I don't sleep. Lord knows he doesn't sleep. Jason Poles is here with me, picture in picture, and one of the people I'm always honored to have on the show. Jason, how we doing? Yeah. We got him on mute.
I'm muted. It's still 2023, and I still haven't found the unmute button, but that's okay. But I appreciate you having me on, brother. I really do.
Yeah,
got me up. It's early in the morning, 7:30. And you would think it's sunny and warm outside out here on the West Coast, but it's actually 44 degrees and foggy. But that's okay. It's 44. I'll take it.
Yeah. You know what it is, though, and I got to tell you this, and this is funny that you say it's 44 degrees outside right now. I have a very close relationship, and I say have, not had, because I believe in God, and I believe that I will see this man again. Floyd Little and I, the last 8 years or so of his life, we built this really honest and great friendship, and 44 has been showing up like crazy, and I know other people wore it, but I can't describe when you just know something inside of you. And it was like 4:44 on the clock at the Dome with 44 seconds. It was like 44. Once I saw it 3 times, I looked at my buddy Isaac. I'm like, okay. And every time, and people don't know this about me. Isaac might know it because we walk in or walk out together, and he's like a brother to me. Shout out to Isaac Alford. But when I go into the Dome for a football game and I walk up the stairs to the press box, I take my hand, I kiss my hand, and I put it on Floyd's picture. And Floyd has been showing up like crazy. So I think that it's 44 degrees outside. I think that was Floyd going, "Hey, Jason, what's up, Dan? How you doing?"
Floyd was a great guy. I mean, he was a great player. Just a wonderful, great human being. It was a pleasure to get to know him. And, I think about him all the time. It's just, I actually have, he's on my wall over here. He's literally like right next to me as I turn to my right.
Yeah, and I think that that's awesome that you say that he's right there with you, because as you're saying that, eye level straight across in my studio, his book is there, and the Denver Broncos hat that he signed for me is sitting here too. And so I tell people all the time, I was like, I look at it's good morning to Floyd every morning. And so that history, I appreciate it. I expect nothing less. Jason, we are in a place right now where I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm excited. And Fran Brown I've been banging the drum on let's take care of the Northeast. Let's get the alumni involved. Let's care about the community. Syracuse University and Syracuse, New York don't need to be 2 separate entities. Let's remember the history. Let's remember the coaches. Let's remember the Adazios and the DeLeons and the Coach P's. He said everything, and I can't speak to the DeLeon side because I never got to know DeLeon, but I know, been around Coach P, grew up seeing Coach P all the time, and I'm really close with Steve Adazio. He said everything. It was like he sat in that room and took all of these years in my heart and said, Dan, I got you. And he doesn't even know he did that. Maybe if he's watching now, he knows he did that. But I sat in that room, and I got to be honest with you, Jason, because I always am. There were moments where I got a little worked up. I got a little like, wow. Like, I didn't know Fran 5 minutes ago, but you could be my coach. What do you think?
Yeah, when the announcement was first made, first of all, his name just sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You were hearing the other names and some other people's names flying around, and all of a sudden you hear he's the front runner. And my initial reaction was just like, who in the hell is this guy? And then I think most people's reaction was, he's never been a head coach before. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I was any different. So looking at it as an open book, just sort of like, okay, let me hear what he has to say. Let me see who he hires. Let's take the steps. Let's embrace it. Let's embrace him. And like you, to hear his first sort of statements talk about, I mean, it was kind of weird. It made me sort of feel old, talk about the first game that he went to.
Yeah.
Was a game that I played in. That was kind of funny, but but just for him to run down the history, know the history of the institution, I think that's key. And when you listen to him talk, he's speaking coach talk, and this is what recruits really want to hear.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Like you had the opportunity to do. I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him and, pick his brain a little bit.
Jason, I mean, like you said, this came out of left field. I wanna give a shout out to my mom and Debbie. I have to give my mom a shout out. It's so weird, like when I say, because I don't call her Debbie. I mean, I joke around. I'll do like chants. I'll go Deb. So, but I mess with her. But my mom said to me at the beginning of this whole process, and I'm gonna tell you something. My mom has, I don't think, ever been wrong about anybody I've dated. Like, my mom just knows people. She said to me flat out, beginning of the process, she said, mark my words, whoever y'all think it is, it's not going to be. This hire is going to come out of left field. No one's going to be ready for it. Nobody's going to know about it. It's going to happen, and it's not going to be anybody that any of you think. And I called her up, and I was like, why you always got to be right?
Mom always knows best. Come on, we all know that.
But we
she
see
was
this.
right. And
Go
for it
ahead.
to come out of left field, I think it was pleasantly out of left field. There's a lot that obviously we'll have to wait and see on, but like you said, recruiting the Northeast, knowing the coaches, knowing the area. I'm from New Jersey. I'm literally 10 minutes, 20 minutes down the road from where he played, where he grew up. And to be from Jersey, to recruit in Jersey, and have those connections and ties. New Jersey is a competitive state for its athletes. They're probably, let's just say 300, 3, 4, and 5-star student athletes. There's only one Division I school for football. That's Rutgers. They only can take so many. So it really becomes a very competitive edge, very competitive to get those students out of New Jersey.
Yeah, and that's where Syracuse used to go. I mean, obviously you're a product of that. And I mean, Syracuse used to have that bridge, and that bridge was strong. And we see, and you can obviously speak to this because you are an example of it in such a true sense. All the time, and I never thought that it would be like this, but defending the Northeast, defending New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Vermont, New Hampshire, and so on, Rhode Island, Delaware, defending the Northeast has caused me to receive a lot of ridicule. Yet, historically, Syracuse's best teams include the Northeast. Historically, guys that have gone to the NFL come from the Northeast. Guys in the NFL from Syracuse, Justin Pugh, Pennsylvania. Chandler and Arthur Jones, state of New York, Southern Tier. We look at all of the work that's come through. We look at what you've done out of New Jersey. We look at what Drummond did out of Jamesville, DeWitt, and Syracuse. We look at guys that didn't come to Syracuse. Latavius Murray's in the NFL right now. Stevie Scott had worked and made his way into, I believe, the XFL. We have Servassier Dennis in the NFL right now. Jerome Smith comes from Delaware and is a 1,000-yard back. So many pieces of history. Don McPherson from the state of New York. So many pieces of history have come, Tim Green, Scott Schwades, from the Northeast. Why do you think that people are still uneducated about the Northeast and they're carrying, why do you think there still lives this belief that the Northeast doesn't provide quality football student athletes when factual evidence today, yesterday, and tomorrow has always refuted these people.
Yeah, I think part of that is when you compare Northeast, so say to the South, where they play football all year round, and those teams made up of predominantly of players from their region, and you got a handful of Division I schools in the Northeast, so our talent gets spread out. If you look at talent on any NFL roster or even any Division I college, you're going to find student athletes from the Northeast. It's just that you don't have, those one predominant schools competing for national championships. And then when you look at the roster, they're all from Alabama, they're all from, Florida or wherever. Everyone picks student athletes from everywhere. You got to fit, got to find those students that fit your system.
Yeah.
And that's going to work for what you're trying to build. And we just don't have that one dominant school that's consistently competing for national championships every single year. So therefore, it's just sort of just, it's a belief. I know growing up for me, once football was done, I went on and played basketball. Then once basketball was done, I ran track. Some people played baseball. In certain regions of the country, it's football, and it's football year round. So you get more eyeballs and tape on those type of guys. I didn't know, like, the state of New York, really only plays a handful of regular season football games in high school. So the talent is there. The talent just may take time to develop because they're not playing as much. Yeah. So therefore, when they get to college, you start to see them excel because they're playing more. Physically, they're getting trained better. And, the focus is there, because you only play 7, 8 games in high school. And it's hard to judge that talent when you have such a short window to look at a student athlete.
When you look at a school like Christian Brothers Academy that's right down the road from Syracuse, and they've had over 40 colleges and universities visit just this year, offering kids now, tomorrow, 2025. What does that say to you about where we are in the community if one school has over 40 teams coming into town?
I mean, that just goes to speak to what the coaches are doing there. They're taking the talent in which they can get, and they're developing as best they can. The talent is there in these areas, and it takes good coaches, not just, in our case, let's just say at Syracuse, not just to recruit them. It's not that you're also going to have to develop them and spend time with them. Your ones are going to be good, and this is what we've seen at Syracuse University for a while. Our ones are good. They can compete.
Yeah.
Our twos, they need to be developed. They're 2s and 3s. And you have to have the right coaches in place to take time to develop those 2s and 3s. Because we all know most times in practice during the season, the ones get the reps, but the 2s got to be ready. So, those coaches, at CBA, I think it's just a matter of developing a good coaching staff and then working with those student athletes to make sure that they're prepared and that they're ready for their opportunity.
Here with Jason Poles, Syracuse defensive back, alum, speaking on the Fran Brown hiring as well as the Orange moving forward. Jason, you and I have spoken before and found similarities between the two of us. Right over your shoulder, I'm reading this thing while you're talking that says, "Let your faith be bigger than your fear."
Yeah.
I have that in my bedroom.
Oh, wow.
Why do you feel the need to make sure that that's up right there where you can see it all the time?
In life, we all have our fears, right? That's part of human nature. That's part of who we are. And overcoming those fears means you have to take a leap of faith that your destination is meant for you, and that faith is going to carry you along. Fear is a strong emotion, but you have to find a way to get through it. Is it your faith? Is it your belief? What is it? So I looked at, when I saw that, my wife had it in the room, I was like, I need that. I said, I want that on my wall, because we all have fears. If it's fear of the next day, if it's fear of the next phone call, if it's fear of your next opportunity, that's going to be there.
Yeah.
But you can't, I tell my kids all the time as a parent, I can't let my fears dictate your life. We all have fears. we all just have to find a way to get over them.
Yeah. And faith is extremely important to me. Faith is important to Fran. He started off by saying, let us all remember that God woke us up today, that we're here because of God. We have this opportunity, because of God, just to be here. Then later on, he said, there's only one perfect person ever walked this earth. That's Jesus Christ, and he died for us. When you hear Fran so faithful, so unapologetic about, hey, I believe in God, this is a part of me. Because college football, what do people want to hear? 5-star, 4-star, 5-star, 4-star. How are you recruiting? What are you doing? How's the NIL deals? You got the transfer portal? How many people do you know? You know head coaches? You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to bring us a national championship? And Fran says, let's talk about everything, but let's remember that we're in the presence of God. Let's remember we're here because of him. What did that mean to you?
I just think it's, he's driven by that and it's unwavering. And, I always look at, a coach from a recruit's perspective. Are you saying things that the recruit wants to hear?
Yeah.
But also from the parent's perspective, because what they want to hear is going to be different. And I think when you talk about, him having faith and being spiritual, that's a positive thing. There's nothing negative about that. And that will ground him on his journey. And as a student athlete, young person, you look for someone who's grounded. You look for someone who has beliefs and stands strong in something and is unwavering in that. And as a parent, that gives you comfort because you're handing your child over. You're handing your child over to someone that you literally don't know.
Yeah.
And they're in that room to sell you, to pitch you, to tell you what you want to hear so you can help your child make the best decision for them. And that's to come to Syracuse University. And for him to just be grounded in who he is, that immediately makes you feel comfortable because no one wants to be sold, right? You want to believe in what you're walking into. You want to have that faith, right? You want to have that faith that this is the right decision. And if he's grounded in something as strong as that, then it's hard to then turn around and say, no, I don't believe what he's saying or feel them being sold. So, I embrace it. I love it. And most of the top coaches have that sense about them, that sense of spirituality, religion, or some type of background that they convey to their team. Because remember, as a coach, you're not just a coach. You're raising young men. You're raising teenagers to be better young men. Ultimately, that's how you're going to be judged. So it's, I believe in it. I love it. And it excites me. And I'm happy that is part of who he is.
Yeah. And having that faith, that desire, that determination, and that family, right? I mean, when I interviewed Kirby Smart, the Georgia Bulldogs head coach, before interviewing Fran, I asked Kirby, what's Syracuse getting? And the first thing he said was the person that had the toughest issue, or not the toughest, no, I don't want to call it an issue. The person that had the toughest time with Fran leaving, he said, was Braden, his son. Because he's like, Braden and my son are so close. And so he started with talking about Fran and family. That he's not just a guy that works for me. He's a guy that our kids are friends. Our kids hang out. And that to me hit me when he said, the relationships that he builds and, his recruiting. And he said, he knows the Northeast, so watch out. And then he ended by saying he knows everybody in Philadelphia. And I thought that was really unique. But I have to ask you this, Jason. Being from the Northeast, have you had, you didn't know I was going here, I'm sure. Have you had a cheesesteak from Philly? And why do they put fake cheese on it? Like, I talked to Rob Drummond about it, and I was like, dude, I can't wrap my head around this. If you brought Cheese Whiz in my Italian house, you would get smacked coming through the door. You would get slapped. Your parents, my mom or my dad would slap me in the face, look me in the eye while they did it, and they'd be like, you know why I slapped you, right? And you're not going to do something stupid like that again, right? They're not going to apologize for slapping me. They're going to tell me, you know that you earned that slap. So don't do
Right.
this again. What is this cheese whiz thing, and have you done it?
I can't answer the cheese whiz question. I don't know why they do it. Of course, I've had a cheesesteak, and it's funny. I don't. Being from the region, most people, would think, oh, you had Pat Geno's or, one of the popular ones. And I'll be honest with you, I rarely went to one of those.
Yeah.
I always got a Larry's Belly Filler right off of City Avenue, right by
Okay.
St. Joe's.
Okay.
It was huge. It was massive. I could not eat it now, or nor would I want to eat it now. Your metabolism slows down a little bit. So you look at a piece of cake and you gain 5 pounds. So the health would not allow me to eat a cheesesteak. But I don't know where the cheese whiz comes from. But I'm just going to sit here and say that it works. It's pretty good.
What a political answer. I have no idea where it comes from,
Nope.
but I support it. So
sometimes it's best not to ask a question. It's not one of those questions it just works. That's all I know.
yeah, I mean that's what Rob said. He looks at me like normal cheese doesn't make sense. But yeah, I love Rob. But here with Jason Pohl, Syracuse defensive back, alum on the Fran Brown hiring and the Orange moving forward. As the director of advancement for the Southwest region, did you have any play in this? I know that you and I couldn't talk during the process, but were you involved in the process?
No, not involved in the process. I respect their decision in the athletic department. John Wildhacken knows to make the right decision. And I'm here to support it, and I think that the more I listen to them, the more things move on. It's just like, hey, I think we did a good job. It's probably a little out of the box for most, and let's support the position, let's support the program, and let's make the only way we're going to make sure that he is successful is we as alum, we as viewers, watchers, listeners. Our community, our donors, our alumni, our friends, is to go out there and support. If you want a good product, you got to go out there and support. And that's all of our responsibility. I can't play anymore. Looking at some of these NIL deals, I texted somebody earlier today. I said, "Look, I think I might start getting back in shape. See if I got one more year left."
Why not?
I said, good thing is if I did play, you better make sure the play goes the other way because I got one play in me and that's about it. But since I can't play anymore, let's go out there and let's support the program. We all want to see it be successful, be better than what we have been, and be consistent. And that's really what we want to be: is be consistent in who we are. Go out there and compete, for every game. Believe that you can win every game, no matter who you're playing. And let that belief in what you're doing out in practice all week, in preparation all summer, guide you and let you believe that you can go out and win every game, and let that show on the field. Let nothing, hold nothing back on the Saturdays in which you play. That's our role, as fans, as me being a fan now, hold nothing back, do everything I can to support the program.
Well, and you talk about doing everything you can to support the program. This is the first coach that has said the things that he has said, the way that he has said them about the alumni of the program. There's a reason why I asked the question that I asked about, hey, you got Orange alumni in this room looking at you right now. What do you want to say to them? And he said, I want you at practice. Come to practice. He said, I want your presence at practice. He said, I want your money too, but I want you at practice. And he said, if you come to practice, you can come in my office and talk to me. If you don't come to practice, he said, shut it up. So I haven't heard a coach in 20 plus years say to the alumni publicly, I want to see you. One of my biggest gripes with Syracuse is that this is my hometown. I grew up. I had a Syracuse sweatshirt when I was 1. I have pictures of that. I don't know any other university or college that has had to the alumni. So hearing him say, we got to reach back into history to get to now. We got to go back to the Coach P's. I called Coach P, said, is it okay if I take this job? George DeLeon, I still remember our conversation when he said to me 3 times, go. He wanted me to challenge myself. He talks about Steve Adazio. He's reaching out and saying, I want to see you. I want you here. They need to learn from you. Jason, you're one of the few people that the university has a connection with because you work for the university. But so many people feel detached and disconnected, not because of them, but because of the other side. The drawbridge was pulled up. They tried to come into the castle, but they didn't have a way to get in. Now he's putting the drawbridge down, and he's saying, I want you guys to come see me. I don't care when you played. I don't care where you come from. I want you to be here. That's music to my ears if it happens. What can you say about being an alum who is one of the few that's in the university on the football side, and the fact that so many of your brothers didn't feel like the drawbridge was down, and then we hear a head coach publicly say, it's not down, it's locked down. Come in and see me.
It's refreshing, to him once again to repeat the history or talk about the history and know the names and the people, not just from a head coaching standpoint, but some of the assistants that were around at the time. And, when I reflect back when I was a player there, we always had former players on the sideline watching. Some of them would speak, some would not, but they were always there. They're always welcome. And just give me a phone call, let me know who's coming in, and sure, you're welcome. This is your program, not ours. And that's refreshing to hear a coach say, because in the end of the day, coaches come and go, players come and go. But as a former player, we're always going to view this as my program. And I should be able to walk in, say hello, even if it's unannounced. Someone should know. And that makes our former players, feel comfortable. It makes us feel invited. We all know one of the hardest things is, I remember when Dino first got hired, he did ask me, he goes, when does McNabb come back? When does Freeney come back? When do these guys come back? And I said, well, Syracuse isn't the easiest place to go to. I said, you're really going to make an effort to go, or to be there. I said, we have to give them a reason to come. And if we're winning, they'll come. If they hear that they're welcome and I want you in the room, they'll find a way to come back. And I think that it goes hand in hand with that, when the current team is at practice and then they see someone who did what they're doing, and maybe they're an NFL player or not, but they're just on the sideline and show that they care. Yeah. They'll start to understand you're not playing this game just for you. You're not playing this game for your teammate. You're representing something. You represent a history. You represent a university. You represent something that's so much larger than you. And that will give you a sense of pride of when I go out there and I play. And if I'm not performing well, I got to remember who is watching. I remember that people are watching, and that's what they're going to remember. And do I want that to be my legacy? Because that legacy, what Fran's saying is that legacy is walking through those doors. And there's a certain level of expectation that we're going to have on and off the field of our players. So, from Fran, recruiting the right players, coaching them right, and allowing us to be a part of that process is a good feeling as a former player.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I look at this, Jason. We talk about having people at practice. That used to be what it was. When I talk to guys, that's how it was. John Mackey, Floyd Little, Jim Brown, Chris Gedney, Coach Mack. Why am I saying these names? Because these are people within the last few years that have passed on.
Yeah.
They can't be at practice, right? And that reality to me is I don't want to see anybody else pass away that could have come to practice. Marcus Paul. I look at those names and I say to myself, Floyd worked for the university, but Jim Brown, I saw him one time in covering the team the last 11 years on site on location. Chris Gedney, he was at the university let him go. He passed away shortly after that. And I look back on those days and say, I've been at practices and I never saw anybody. And John Mackey, the stories that Floyd told me about going to visit him in a nursing home, broke my heart. But before that, before those days happened, why wasn't he at practice? Why wasn't, why wasn't Marcus Paul at practice? And I don't want to have to say that about Jason Poles, Rob Drummond. I don't want to have to say that about Eric Dungy, Donovan McNabb, Don McPherson. It's something that should never happen. The brotherhood should not have people pass away that weren't at practice. They didn't have the ability to come to practice. They didn't have the open door to be at practice. And I think that is what really hits my heart, is there's guys that can be there in spirit, but they can't physically be at practice. And I've made it my life's mission, part of my life's mission, and I've meant this with my whole heart. I've met so many of you, Syracuse football alumni. I do not want anybody to go to their final resting place feeling like they weren't welcome on that hill, because they built that hill. Y'all built that. You did that. There's no job for Fran Brown unless the Jason Poles of the world. Y'all built that world. You built the world that I grew up in. You built the world that when my mom and my dad said, we're going to the game, you should have saw my, what? We're going to the Dome? I'm like, can I get something? Can I get one of the puppets? Can I get a football, Dad? Can I get a jersey, Mom? What did I ask for Christmas? Man, I want a jersey. That number 44, I wear that jersey proud. When I talk about Floyd Little, that jersey is on. There's so much to be said about what you all did. And it would be a travesty to go any farther where I got to hear an alum say to me, I don't know a single player on the team personally. That day needs to be done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he'll, the hardest thing that's been in the past is, even for me, I'm going to be honest here, is when Robinson was coaching, I stopped watching. That wasn't the product we were expecting. That's not the product that we're used to. So that's what I meant when Dino welcomed players. Now there was a process a little bit, which was no big deal. He doesn't really know a lot of players. A lot of them don't live in the area. So, hey, make a phone call, let me know, let's get approval. And I think, you don't need approval. Just let me know you're coming. And that's what I heard. And that's a bit of a difference. Now, obviously, guys are going to come back and see something. It's two things. I was there earlier in the year, and, I left before the first game. People just expected me to stay. I said, well, I don't need to see us beat Colgate. We should expect to beat Colgate. And if we don't, I don't want to be there to see that anyway. So you give, much like you were excited when you were young to go to the Dome and be around and see what's inside and enjoy the game. That's what we want as former players. We want to come to something to be entertained, just like all of our fans do. We want to see us compete. We want to see us when we're playing top-notch talent, not to lay down, to make it competitive. And we used to always say, if we're not going to win the game, damn it, they're going to walk away limping, and they're going to feel like they were in a war.
Yeah. And
we're going to win that battle. So, we just want to see that. We just want to see guys go out there and get 120% of their effort. That's all we want to see.
Yeah, and that's the hope as we step forward. Is there anything else about Fran Brown that stuck out to you that you like, that you appreciate? Is there something that kind of spoke to your soul or spoke to your heart, made you stop and think about it for a second beyond what we've spoken about today?
Yeah, I think the first thing, when I heard him speak, it's coach's talk, but it seemed genuine. It seemed real. It seemed as though that's just who he is. This is who he is. It's not. It didn't seem like anything that was marketed. It was just, this is who I am. This is what I believe in it. And it just sounded like he was speaking from the heart, not anything sort of coached to say. And that was that I felt, when I listened to him speak. So that was the first thing I thought about when I heard him speak. It was just like, wow, he's just speaking real talk. He's speaking like he's in the locker room. Sounds like that pitch is not going to change from sitting in front of his team versus sitting in front of his family versus sitting in front of his friends. It seems like that is truly what he believes. And that's reassuring. That to me is reassuring. And you do that with parents and recruits, alumni and donors, they can get behind that.
I look back on your time really quick, Jason, and when you were playing at Syracuse and giving me some of my most favorite moments in Syracuse football history, it is ridiculous to look at these rosters. And I'm a Coach P kid. Like, I grew up, Coach Mack was finishing up his time. I was 2 years old when we went undefeated the last time in 1987. And so, I don't remember that part, but I remember Coach P. And I still feel like to this day, and you can agree or disagree, but Coach P was your coach. The firing of Coach P over 20 years ago is, I think, what put us where we are. That move, and then we look at, and there's been some good moments, but it's like that moment seemed to be the moment of, what are we doing? And people go back to, like, he had Ray Rice being recruited and all this stuff. So now we come here, and I hear Fran Brown say, before I took the job, I called Coach P, and I said, Coach P, is it okay if I take the job? So bridging the gap, let's hope for great things with Fran Brown. But Coach P was your coach. Can you say, the statute of limitations is over, right, Jason? Can we say that it was a mistake?
Well, you look back at it. Now, I say this, especially in athletics now, and I'm not just speaking of Syracuse here. You have to figure out who the hell you are. Where do you fit? And it's only going to be one team that's going to win the national championship every year. And even if you look at the playoffs, it's a flawed system. You have a Final Four for a Power Five. Someone's going to be left out.
Yeah.
Where do you fit? And as an institution, you have to examine that and say, this is where I want to fit because this is where my donations are, my budget is, and this, that, and the other. And what Coach P did was just be consistent. And I think at the time he got fired, I think it is 75% winning percentage. And that's, you got to look at that as an institution and say, you know what, this is who we are, and I can't fire him for that. And I had someone in something that's really good where we're competing for conference championships. There's talk, we were ranked, I think, as high as like number 8 or something in the country when we played. I don't remember. But we were nationally competitive. And people wanted to see us. People wanted to play against us. And, my senior year, first game is Tennessee, the second game is Michigan. That's the reason why people want to come to the Dome. They want to see a team when you bring in strong schedules, a team that's going to compete against that. You don't have to win everything. And you got to realize who you are and be great in your own space, be great in your own skin. Find a way to be consistent. Find a way that every year that you're going to wake up and you're going to compete. And then at the end of the season, you're not looking at the same bowl game every single year, or am I going to get in, or I need to win the last game to get in. No, take care of your business early and finish strong. And, that's what we had. So, to answer your question, long-winded answer, it was the beginning of the end, but, it doesn't mean we can't go back, and we're just, looking to right the ship. And I think, having belief and faith in our administration to put us in that place. And now that needs to be returned. It's our turn as alumni. It's our turn as donors, former players, the community, to support the program and do what you can do, and don't think what you can do is too little, because every way counts. If it's internships, if it's giving money, if it's participating in any way, every way, and anything counts. And when I was there, the community was heavily involved, and we were heavily involved in the community. We worked during the summer, which means we built relationships with people who live there. And people, I remember, people would come to games. Jason, I'm coming to see you because, I got to know you over the summer. You're a great guy. And that was across the board. And that brought the community closer to us, and us closer to the community. So it was a partnership, and it still remains a partnership. And that partnership expands throughout the country with our alumni.
Well, and you just brought up a bunch of things here, and two final points for me. One of them being going off of what you just said, name, image, and likeness. The importance of taking care of these things and being in the world we live in today in collegiate athletics, being prepared for the international students, for the national students, being prepared with plans and different pieces. As a director of advancement for the Southwest region, how involved are you with, is it more alumni and gathering and garnering money that way? Or are you privy to the NIL and what we're doing in the community, what the university is doing? Where are we at? What can you tell us from your seat of, is there an uptick now that Fran Brown is the head coach, now that he has spoken? What do we know from the resources that we seek?
Yeah, I think to answer your question, I don't know if there's an uptick. I haven't seen those numbers yet, but it is being paid attention to. We just had Coach Boeheim out here. He did a couple of events. He did one large event. We had some smaller events, and all coaches are talking about now is NIL. And there was a period in time where it was all about your facilities. Well, if you give a kid enough money, they'll play football on the blacktop. Don't care about the facilities anymore. So it's this careful balance of, providing enough to get the right student, then supporting them throughout their journey, and then making sure they stay. But at the same time, making sure that when they're staying here, they're comfortable here. So having the facilities that they're comfortable, but yet having an NIL package or deal that makes them want to be here. Being so far out sometimes is a little difficult with getting people involved. But I just had a donor earlier this week, and he goes, Jason, I want to support NIL. Great. It's awesome. Let's do it. And, so people are paying attention to it, because when you watch a game and you look at, doesn't matter if it's Syracuse or Alabama or Clemson, Florida State or UCLA, that's what people are talking about, NIL, and how much money these kids are making, and good for them. Give them their shot to make their money, because majority of them, as we know from statistics tell you, aren't going to play professionally. So therefore, this is their time to earn their keep.
Final note, going back to something that you said, knowing who you are. I look at Syracuse University and I see a football program that fired a 6-6 coach in Paul Pasqualoni become a football program that is like, please Jesus, let's just get to 6-6. It's this weird, strange. It's also like when I was 9 years old, the world seemed a lot normal, and now at 38, I don't know. I feel like I feel like I'm in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I jumped some galaxy and landed on another planet. So, I mean, football feels that way too, right? 6-6 was like, if you went 6-6 and you were a Syracuse fan, that was considered like disrespectful. It was wrong. And now you go 6-6 and it's like, hey, bowl game. But, right. So when you talk about finding your place and finding where you fit in the grand scheme of things, I'm not a person that likes when somebody says stay in your lane, because there's a couple issues with that. You're deciding what lane that I'm going to be in. And have you ever driven on a road? You can't stay in your lane. You got to get into whatever lane you got to get to so I can get to where I need to go. I'm a New Yorker, okay? You better.
Well, I live in LA, so that definitely holds water. You're definitely not staying in the lane out
right.
Here.
So when we look at that reality, and you and I both know stay in your lane is not something that either one of us seems to agree with. when we're carving out a spot for Syracuse and you hear a coach say, like, I'm seeking championships. I'm not seeking just to be like, hey, we'll be okay. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into that. You need all hands on deck. What do you envision of Syracuse football? How does Syracuse fit in to today's collegiate climate, knowing a lot of things going on? The college football playoff is expanding. The Pac-12 is dying on the West Coast where you are right now, something that we never thought would happen. There's a notion of something I said a long time ago coming true, which is that Division 1A will have Division 1 will have 3 levels of college football. And over 2 years ago, I said SEC is going to go do their thing. The Big Ten, I think, is going with them, and that's why they got the West schools. That's going to be Division 1A. Then the FBS, rest of it's going to be Division 1 AA, and FCS is going to be Division 1 AAA. We're heading toward that coming true. I didn't want to be right about that, Jason. I don't think that's good for collegiate athletics, but it's what I saw. Seeing where everything is, where does Syracuse fit?
That's a good question, and I think that's something that we'll have to figure out. My belief is that Syracuse is a 8 to 10 win team a year, and there's no reason why that can't happen. And that puts you in a nice sweet spot where you can dabble every once in a while and possibly get in an undefeated team, or at least competing at a very high level. At minimum, there is no reason that we shouldn't be competing at a very high level. That is the history.
Yeah.
That is what we can recruit to. And it's not just a belief. If you look at the talent that we've had some talented teams. And we just got to find a way to make that consistent. And, that takes work. And that takes work on the field. It takes work off the field. It takes everyone to get engaged and involved.
Yeah.
Even more so now, given how college athletics is. It's just a different world from when I was there. You have some schools popping up out of nowhere that when I was playing, they weren't even thought of. Some probably weren't even an institution at the time. But this is where we are. So you can't change that, right? So what can we change internally to meet those expectations so that we can just be consistent? Be consistent in who we are, be great in who we are, and find out what that is. And part of finding out what that is our alumni base being more engaged and more involved. There's a lot of watch parties out there, but can't complain about a watch party and how the team's not performing if you're not participating. It's going to take more people.
Yeah, and if you want the alumni involved, you got to have a coach who welcomes them back. And Fran Brown has done that. And Jason Poles is always welcome. Y'all, this is what I tell everybody. No matter what anybody else does, you're always welcome here on Wake Up Call. Jason Poles, Syracuse DB alum on the Fran Brown hiring and Orange moving forward. You got some love coming through here. Nate Trout said Jay Poles with a lot of exclamation points. Linda Carter said, hi, Jay. So you got some love here coming from around the world. Jason, I meant what I said, and you know this is true. You are all always welcome here. It is an honor and a privilege to be a kid who grew up watching the orange and blue, people like yourself support and love up my community, and to be an adult in my profession, doing what I love and loving what I do, and interviewing those people that I watched as a kid is one of life's greatest joys for me. So thank you for taking this little kid and making this adult dream happen. I appreciate that.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, and I really look forward to the season. And give me a shout anytime. And we got to get, since Fran's a Jersey guy, we got to get all of our Jersey former players on the show. We got to get Donovan Darius and Quentin Spotwood and a bunch of our guys on the show.
Yeah, man, let's make it happen. I love Darius. I'm a Jaguar fan, so I'm proudly wearing. I just had a Bills fan ask. Yeah, that Bills fan say to me, he goes, can you lend me some scissors so I can help you out? I said, nah, bro, I'm good. But, I was actually down after interviewing Fran Monday. I went down to Jacksonville Monday night and interviewed Cisco about the hiring of Fran Brown, and that's going to be coming out soon. So a lot of good stuff coming up. Jason, I'm absolutely welcoming the players that you spoke on and whoever wants to come on. So Donovan, I've crossed paths with. I haven't gotten to talk to Quentin Spotwood, but Donovan knows I want him on the show. So let's make it happen. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about Jersey. And you know what? I think what we should do is have them all. We should be picture in picture and whatnot, and we should decide which one of the people on the screen is Snooki. That's what I want to know.
All right, I'm good, man.
All right, you be good. Thanks for everything, Jason. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care. That coming here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So I feel like, Jersey Shore is funny. I'm definitely not Mike. I'm not Ron. I'm not Vinny. So I guess I would have to be Paulie, right? I don't want to be a part of the drama. I just want to have a good time, you know. I'd rather be the person going, awkward, than being the person that's dealing with being in that drama and being a part of that. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. Thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I don't know sometimes. And Jason and I had a great conversation that ended with the Jersey Shore. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll wrap up the show right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and Kampground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Kampground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox.
If I had to describe it, I would like to say welcoming and kind of homey. Like, I feel home when I'm here.
Here's a special message from North Star Nutrition in North Syracuse and Nutrition Wave in Cicero on their very unique shakes and teas.
I always ask them, are you looking for a shake or a tea? Like, are you hungry or do you need a little bit of a pick-me-up? And then from there, I normally gear it towards whichever they prefer. So I say we offer full meal replacement shakes. They're 24 grams of protein, 21 vitamins and minerals. So the vitamins and minerals in that shake make it a full meal, and you'll stay full for about 4 or 5 hours. And if they want a tea, then I'll tell them that there's either 115 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. I would compare it to maybe 2 cups of coffee, and I explain all the benefits that are in the tea. Like, they have B vitamins to sustain your energy all day long. They have a tea for mental clarity and focus. They have a thermogenic tea to help boost your metabolism, burn calories. Aloe is great for nutrient absorption and digestion. And I say there's other flavors in it for the pretty colors and flavors. I always ask them, like, what's your favorite lollipop flavor? And then I'll go from there, and I'm like, well, believe it or not, there's less than a gram of sugar and it's good for you. The shakes, I say it's like your favorite candy bar or your favorite ice cream, because you've had them. It genuinely does not taste like a regular protein shake. This was the first yes that I've ever given, because I've always been like too shy or too scared to like talk to people or anything, and this just kind of really opened me up. I've stayed here so long because I just love seeing everybody's faces, having them like sit down at the bar and just telling us little tidbits about their life. You really have no idea what's going on in other people's life, and I feel like this job specifically really puts it into perspective and just kind of helps you enjoy other people's presence. As like a young adult and as a person, I have learned so much working here. Like, to me, it's way more than just shakes and teas.
For healthy drinks that taste amazing in a welcoming atmosphere, head to North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, and Nutrition Wave on 6197 State Route 31 in Cicero. Open 7 days a week at each location.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located for you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open for you 7 days a week. You can find them Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Head to GG Cards and Breaks for singles, graded cards, packs, boxes, and every single Major League Baseball, National Football League, and National Basketball Association team. Who has every MLB, NBA, and NFL team ready for you? GG Cards and Breaks, because they care about the fans. They care about the fact of being different, being unique, finding ways to connect with the sports card community that is unique, that shows that they care, that gives that personal touch and that connection to each and every single one of the wonderful guests that come through the door. GG Cards and Breaks is different. That's why I appreciate them. It's the way that they handle their customer care. It's the products that they bring in. It's the fact that they have something for everybody. basketball, football, baseball, soccer, all sport, hockey, as well as Pokemon and the new Disney Lorcana. Everyone there, Josh, Anthony, Joel, Alex, the entire team at GG Cards and Breaks just does it differently. And collecting sports cards, which is something that I've done all my life, is such a beautiful way to connect to the teams and the players that we love and to make memories. You know, you can look at a sports card in your house or in your office or in your studio, and you can say to yourself, you can look right at that card and you remember who bought it for you, where you were. You remember everything about it. You can forget what you had for lunch. But I'm looking at a Nolan Ryan card right now that my Uncle Bill, God bless him in heaven, gave to me when I was 14 years old. I was in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And I was sitting in the back seat of my car, and he told me to put my window down. And my parents put my window down, and he handed it to me. He gave me a bunch of stuff, and then he had it behind his back. He said, hold on. I think he ran back into the house. He came back out. He looked down at it. He looked at me. And he handed it to me. And it looked like he was handing it to me reluctantly, and I didn't ask for it. And he said, here, I want you to have this. And I said, Uncle Bill, I can't take this. It's your Nolan Ryan. He said, it's going to be in good hands with you. Promise me you'll take care of it. And that was the last time I saw my Uncle Bill. And that card is eye level to me every single day that I'm in the studio. GG Cards and Breaks. It's about creating those memories with the same hobby, new memories, all the time. That you can look at one single card and have a memory that you will never, ever forget. Sports cards is not just a thing. It's a lifestyle. It's a community. It's a connection. Same hobby, new memories. Build yours today at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, appreciate you so very much for being a part of this jam-packed Friday show. This was a show filled with everything we promised you and more. And so AD&DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, fantastic conversation about the men's soccer hiring process and where they are right now, down to 4 finalists. Might make a decision next week. Stay tuned to Wake Up Call for that. And, of course, we also discussed the NEC, the moves that are being made, Division I so far, and how things are going, and with Bob Beretta doing a check-in with different people and seeing, engaging, how do you feel things are going to the student athletes, going to different pieces and different people around campus and getting their thoughts and their ideas on where things are at, and, you know, just checking in, which is important. See, a lot of people make decisions, but they don't check in on those decisions being made, right? They don't follow up. The follow-up is very important. Could be more important than the initial connection, because the follow-up shows that, okay, the first connection's done, but you still care now, right? Because a lot of us, we do something and we're on to the next and we're on to the next. But do we have that care for the thing that we just did? Or do we accomplish it and go on to the next thing and then not facilitate? See, there's people that build relationships and there's transactional people. If you make a decision and that's it and you don't go back there, it's transactional, right? Boom, done. On to the next one. But relationships is you make that decision, you go back and you continue to build and foster and connect with that. Carvel's my longest standing partner. I'm having lunch with Jay Cartini today. So because we have almost 20 companies now, you don't forget about the first one that believed in you. It's about those connections. And that leading into a big thank you to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week. Go and get the DT Dolphin, my signature ice cream that is connected, of course, to your LeMoyne Dolphins and themed to fit your LeMoyne Dolphins. Go and get it today. And you can get that at 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay bringing you lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Asking you, how do you smell the roses? And, of course, you're going to see an all-new episode of The Light Between Us, another segment we do with Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, and that will be proudly featuring Andy Sikowski, the brother of owner-operator Jimmer Sikowski, with a truly incredible story and journey that can inspire every single person that watches. Do not miss that episode that's going to be coming up on our social media channels as well as on our YouTube channel. The top dog of the week, my guy Zay Jones, for doing something so very much godlike without even knowing what he was doing. Big shout out to you, Zay. God bless you as always. Look forward to seeing you soon. Hopefully on December 17th for Sunday Night Football when the Jaguars play the Ravens. God bless you in between, and thank you for always being good to me and sharing God with me. And thanks to Evan Engram for that, too. Big time thanks to Jason Poles for being a part of the show today, speaking with us on the hiring of Fran Brown, being an alum, all of the connections that Fran is talking about with the alumni and the opportunities, NIL, and so much more. We got to so many different pieces with Jason Poles today, who is the Director of Advancement for the Southwest region for Syracuse University. He's also a defensive back alum from the mid to late 90s and a 3 consecutive year Big East champion and played in the Orange Bowl. So big time shout out to Jason Poles for all he did on the field and all he's doing off the field in life for Syracuse University and the community coast to coast making it happen. Thank you, Jason, for your hard work, effort, and enthusiasm. Thank you for being so open with your answers and for saying that Paul Pasqualoni, that was a mistake to fire Paul Pasqualoni. So, we know the truth. It's definitely good to hear Jason be so candid about so many Syracuse topics that so many people care about. So thank you, Jason, for that wonderful time that we got to have here today. Big time thanks to all of you watching and listening on Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, you can also find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, and more. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these podcasting platforms or Wake Up Call DT as one word. Find us, follow us, subscribe, do all those things. It's free. It connects you to the show. You'll never miss an episode again, and you could go back in time to many, many years ago. Podbean has over 1,600 episodes alone, dating all the way back to the 2011-12 time of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So go back and check out all of our work, and of course, stay with us. If you find us on any one of these apps and platforms, and you subscribe to us, you follow us, when a new episode is added, it will let you know on your devices. So you're never going to miss another episode again, which is awesome. And you can go back and listen to your favorites. So make sure you download Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on all of these wonderful channels today. Big time thanks to our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York, Carvel DeWitt, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, 201 7th North Street in Liverpool. I'm giving you their address because A, they're awesome, B, they're the perfect place for all of your holiday gift giving. So make sure you go out to Ma and Pa's today to get those awesome treats for the people that you love. The Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicoli's, K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, Pizza Man, and of course, North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave, our newest partners. North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, and Nutrition Wave on 6197 New York 31 in Cicero. Both have my signature drink. It's called the Mic Drop. And you can walk in there and say, I want a mic drop. And they know exactly what it is. Pomegranate, blueberry, blackberry, strawberry, watermelon. What does that all mean together? It makes your taste buds dance like never before. It is fantastic. And it's healthier for you. The caffeine that you have, if you get the minimum caffeine, you're going to get vitamins and you're going to get aloe. If you get a little bit more caffeine, you're going to get something that helps you focus. If you're going to get a little bit more caffeine, you're going to have something help with your metabolism, boosting your metabolism. If you're working out or you're trying to lose some weight, it'll help you out there as well. Awesome flavors. You choose the caffeine, and it is a great, great drink to have. They are doing their holiday special, which I love so very much. They have 6 teas and 6 shakes. And you have a card, and when you get one of them, they're going to go ahead and stamp that card, and once you get them all, there's going to be a special treat for those of you that go in and try all of their holiday specials at North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave. Go out and visit them today, get the mic drop, and let them know that Wake Call sent you. So, Mother's Cupboard, want to hit this really quick. You can go and get the Cuse McMother, my breakfast sandwich, every single day of the week. Wake Up Call is a morning show, so why not have your breakfast sandwich? And I like to eat breakfast for dinner, and some of you like to listen and watch Wake Up Call at different parts of the day. If you can't listen to all of it in the beginning or watch it all, or you want to go back and watch a favorite, that's why I found a place that has a breakfast sandwich that they serve the whole time that they're open. 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Monday through Sunday, every single week. 3709 James Street in Syracuse. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. What do I call? That is magic. It's sweet and savory together. The reason why I made that sandwich is because I go all the time to a place for breakfast and I say, do I want eggs and bacon or do I want French toast? Well, now you get to have it all and you get to pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. It makes your life easy. Your taste buds will thank you for it. And it's only at Mother's Cupboard. Cuse McMother. Order it today. And I appreciate everybody that has. The LeMoyne College Dolphins are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins Wednesdays at 9 a.m. during Dolphin Time, AD and DT, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Dolphin Dive, 2nd and 4th Wednesdays with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. Find all of our content with the Dolphins by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Hit the notification bell, and you'll find the playlist for LeMoyne Dolphins content. You can also find them on the exclusive Partners tab underneath it on wakeupcalldt.com. For more info, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins way up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We bring you the Bobcat Buzz, giving a spotlight on the men's and women's soccer programs, men's and women's basketball, esports, and who just hired their leader, and we'll be talking about that soon, and baseball. A lot of great stuff coming up with the Bobcats. You don't want to miss a moment. Nobody does it like we do with the Bobcats in our exclusive partnership. Everything for Bryan and Stratton Syracuse comes to you through Wake Up Call, and we love talking to the administration as well as student athletes and coaches. Find all that content with the Bobcats by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Hit the notification bell. Hang out with us on there as well as under the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. You'll see BSC Syracuse, and for more information go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. You know what it is. Go Bobcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, thank you so much for being with me all week long. You've been tremendous. On Monday, we had our DT and Murphy broadcast. Then a lot of you watched and listened when I was at the press conference with Fran Brown. Thank you so much for your support and your love and for your kindness. And more than me, thank you for supporting Fran Brown and supporting this program. I haven't seen this much excitement in a long time in my community, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm really looking forward to that only growing and getting more positive and better, because positivity is the only thing I'm looking to grow in this world. So big time thanks for that. Shout out to the Jaguars for their amazing hospitality of 13 years, and thank you to all the Jaguars I got to talk with. I'll be sharing all of those conversations coming up as individual specials, so don't miss them, as they will be coming up here, obviously, before their game on Sunday. And want to give a big time shout out to all my supporters on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. I wanted to get 100 subscribers. We're heading toward 900. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that made history. We moved our website from one server to another and built a whole new website and transitioned over to that. Big time shout out that within just a couple months of having that site, y'all have made history with me. So thank you so much. We hit over 1 million people just on Facebook alone again this year. And anybody that knows me knows that numbers don't mean anything to me, because I sell on relationships, and I believe in relationships, and I believe in, if you are a good person doing things with faith and with God and hard work and dedication and determination, and you're using the talents that God gave you to do good in this world, it will all work out. So thank you to all of you. Shout out to all of you. Much love. Go and see LeMoyne take on Binghamton. Be a part of history in the first ever game of the Battle for the Interstate Series, which Bob has now told us is not 2 years. It's at least 4 years. The next 4 seasons, home and home, and then home and home. So 2 in Binghamton, 2 in LeMoyne. Thank you so much for your support, everybody. I send you my love. Have a great day. Please be safe out there. Watch the Army-Navy game. Go and see LeMoyne and Binghamton. Support Bryan and Stratton. Support LeMoyne. Fantastic partners of mine that I love dearly. I'm not telling you to support them because I work with them. I'm asking you to support them because there's really great people that are at both of those institutions, and they are a treasure to be able to work with. So please go out and support good people. And yeah, if you're traveling, be safe. If you're staying home, be safe. I look forward to talking with you all soon. I never know how to say goodbye, so I'll say see you later. And of course, God bless, no stress,